This conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to welcome everyone today. I'll call the meeting to order. It's 3 o'clock. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before we get things started, I will just take roll. We have on site in the building, Supervisor Welsh, Supervisor Tinkle, Supervisor Banks, Supervisor Geppert. And online, we have Supervisor Guy. I would just need a motion for special privileges for Mr. Guy to attend the meeting today.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Public comments.
Mr. Chairman, what
Yes,
I
sir.
would suggest is that since we have a revised agenda, a couple items are on there and they've been posted. And so I would suggest that, and maybe we want to change the agenda packet from now on under A, make it 1B always, approval of agenda in addition to deletions to the agenda so that we could formally add items. Because I think under the district engineer, we have the bid award for the lake bank restoration. And just suggest that we add that item as a specific item. And then also we have the presentation. And I'm not sure we have that with regards to the Rhonda's here.
So a motion to revise the budget.
Or
the agenda.
Amend the agenda and add, and the agenda item would be, bear with me.
A2.
Well, for
3B.
3BI
3B.
is
3BI.
the district engineer, the recommendation of award, Gateway Lakes FY 2022.
3B.
And 3B would be MBS Capital Markets presentation and consideration of engagement.
I'd make the motion. We amend the agenda to include additional items under 3A and 3B.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Thank you,
passed.
Mr. Chairman.
So now we will go to public comments.
I do not have any public comments. Nothing was emailed or faxed to my knowledge, and there is nothing in the chat.
Okay. Great. So we will move on to staff reports, starting with district attorney.
Just a few items in your agenda packet. We're going to ask when you get to it that it be tabled is the proposed SRF loan agreement. It's a different form of agreement. It's a different entity. So there's some other different additional considerations that we need to get with the DEP. For example, typically DEP was the lender in all these, and that is item 4C. The lender in this case is supposed to be the Florida Water Pollution Control Financing Corporation. So there are some additional provisions in terms and corrections that we need to make. So we're going to ask that be tabled to the March 17th,
Correct.
2022 meeting. And Laura's been communicating with the DEP personnel,
Okay.
and that is fine. All they need to have is to have the agreement by the end of the month.
So that's 3A, III,
No,
and
4C.
just 4C.
just 4C. Just 4C.
Yeah, and as part of that also, we will be bringing to the board this proposed construction loan agreement with the Florida Water Pollution Control Financing Corporation, as well as a new resolution. The prior resolution with regards to this particular project, SW 3604A, dealt with borrowing from FDEP. And since the lender in this case is different, we'll have a new resolution specifically mentioning this new entity. So we request that that item be tabled.
And that item doesn't pose any risk by tabling that?
No,
Yep, that's
they
right.
need everything back by the end of March. The rates go up April 1st.
Okay, so
So
we're in
We'll
line.
be in good shape on that.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman.
Great, thank you.
Next, been working with, and Laura and I had a telephone conversation yesterday with Rick Brylansky to sort of outline and reiterate some of the tasks in the various parties. And Rick Brylansky was kind enough to prepare a memo on that. Redlined it, edited it. Laura's fine. Laura, did Rick get back, or are we just?
He didn't respond. I just forwarded it to the work group.
What we'd do before the end of the meeting, if you can have Georgia print that out, it's sort of just a summary of, again, reiterating various tasks with regards to getting the title work necessary for the conveyance of the tract from the Pelican Preserve Community Association, the title work necessary for the property from the WCI and the FPL easement, the Lee County Development Order, the City of Fort Myers site plan approval, and the FPL right-of-way consent. So that's all outlined, and you'll see that. And again, as Laura mentioned, it went to the working team on the Pelican Reserve Road, and then we'll hopefully have a meeting next week, like a progress meeting with the team. And on the FPL easement, I have the updated title work. I'll be going through that so we can get the southern parts, I'll call it, those 3 segments south of Gateway Boulevard, finally conveyed over to the district. Because the board said, we waited for the county to give us the assurances. We're not going to get them. So it's one of those, let's just go forward and take care of it anyways. Nothing further unless there are any questions from the board.
Any questions?
Thank you. And also just working with staff, for example, on Lake Bridge, we'll hear that conversation later on. Next item, and we have the Representative Rhonda from MBS Capital Markets. This relates to the hiring the necessary professionals for the bond financing. This would be a long-term financing for the district's new capital improvement program, part of which would entail a new assessment methodology. As far as Mr. Wire is here, Rhonda's here to discuss sort of taking the lead as far as the guidance on this and herding the various cats that are involved in this team. She's done it for a number of years and she's really good at it. It's a good route. And this is a request. And again, she's going to outline the firm's qualifications. And at the end, request authorization, staff request authorization from the board to enter into the agreement that's in the back of the agreement for underwriting services for the district on this particular financing. So Rhonda, do you want to go ahead, identify yourself and
Sure.
you can go up there so you can hear. I'm sorry. We want to make sure we get everything.
Okay. I'm Rhonda Mawson with MBS Capital Markets, and staff contacted us to talk to you about refinancing the short-term debt that you took out and closed on last month with long-term bonds. And we're very familiar with the district. We provided our qualifications in your agenda package. We are a boutique investment banking firm that specializes in these types of community development districts and their financing, and we're very familiar with the market for that. Also in your agenda package is a presentation that we put together that identifies for you the 2 main directions that we would look at going toward for your financing, and it really depends upon the term that the board is looking for. It's my understanding that it could vary from 20 to 30 years, and I think that would depend upon the actual assessments that would put into place. So in order for us to work with district staff and bond counsel, your assessment consultant, we would need to be under contract to do that, to move forward. We would be looking at options between private placement and a public offering. A public offering would require us to put together a credit package and get the bonds rated, and if economically feasible, also insured. A private placement sometimes costs less with regard to attorney's fees, no requirement for a public rating, and you don't have to pay the rating fees. So, but a private placement, they usually don't like to go out more than 20 years. If you wanted to go 30 years on the bonds to keep the assessments lower, then that would have to be a public offering, and we'll pursue both of those and bring that back to the board. I don't want to
go to the PowerPoint, and then what I would suggest to the chairman of the board is that after Rhonda makes her presentation, ask any questions, and then the public may comment.
So what we have up on the screen is just an overview of the note that you closed on, your short-term financing. We did review those documents prior to this meeting to get an understanding of what the board's goals were. And the next slide talks about where the market is today and where it's been the last year. You can see there have been a lot of ups and downs, peaks and valleys, and I think we all know why that's going on, but not being able to predict where it's going to be a year from now when you need to definitely take out this note financing, it's probably best for the district to pursue locking in the long-term rates as soon as you can before it moves too far away from us. The next slide again talks about the two options, one being a bank placement and the other one being a public offering, and the benefits and the of each one. And like I said, a bank placement is usually less expensive, but they don't want to go out more than 20 years, and a public offering costs a little bit more, but you have a longer maturity, which could keep the assessments lower. So we'll pursue both of those and bring back to the board what we're able to find.
And you would do that with the assumption under the current rates, correct?
The assumption under the current rates.
Under
Using
the-
when we put together
Yeah.
our
knowing that
preliminary
when you come
numbers.
back, those could change depending on
Yeah,
when we lock in,
right.
but you'll use.
right, and we'll work closely with Mr. Wire with his assessment methodology, where he identifies the accessible units and how that will be allocated, so that when we do bring it back to you, we'll give you an idea of what that equates to for a residential house per
Right.
year, and what it equates to in square feet of commercial space.
Will you blend the, which ways we go depending upon the service life of the asset? Because some of these things, 30 years would be no problem whatsoever to argue that that would be reasonable. But on some other ones, you'd probably be out a little bit on a limb going 30 years. So can you do both? Yeah. Yeah, because I'm assuming that she's either going to take you or our engineer for advice on what the service life of these assets are that we're talking about borrowing for.
And perhaps maybe I could help with that. When we do go out and do a public offering, we would look at doing term bonds. And typically for a 30-year bond issue, we do a 5, a 10, a 20, and a 30-year
Okay.
term. And so you could really tie your assets to those terms if you so desired.
We'll be able to, for the record, Russ Wire.
Oh,
we'll be
Bill
able
will not be able to hear you. Sorry.
Sorry, that's okay.
I
For
have
the
a
record,
question.
from your assessment methodology consultant, we will categorize them by, like we've done before, when we have the water management and all of those, and then we can go ahead and take a look at the terms and how far out they go based on your study.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Would you tell us what firms you will ask to rate these bonds?
Typically, we'll go to Standard & Poor's because they're the most familiar with this type of credit, and they will require less education to bring them up to speed on what we're doing. There are other agencies out there, but I don't think you would get as good of a rating from them just because they don't understand the credit as well as Standard & Poor's does.
You're not even going to ask Moody's or Fitch?
We could, but it would cost the district for each one of those firms to get a rating determination from them. So in order to keep the costs down, we would just recommend going to the best firm for this type of financing. You're likely talking for a rating $15,000. And so if you went to 3 different firms, you'd be paying that 3 times.
If they would agree to do the rating.
Well, they would still charge you for the analysis, the assessment, rating assessment, they call it. Whether they issue it or not, you would still have to pay for that.
Cover charge.
To be an
Yeah.
additional.
Okay, so the public offering usually takes a little bit longer. On the board, it's a little bit hard to read, but there are several steps to go through to get to that point. The first being approval of the engineer's report, which is the backbone of the net proceeds that will be used and what they'll be used for, what you're financing. Then I'll work with Russ Wired putting together a preliminary bond sizing, and he'll do the assessment methodology. At the same time we're doing that, you'll be looking at putting together a bond resolution and getting the bonds validated, because anytime you issue debt over 5 years, you need a validation, and that's a court hearing, a process. It takes getting a hearing date. After the hearing, there's a 30-day appeal period. And then after the appeal period is over with and your assessment hearings are over with, you will then finalize your bond documents and go to market, price the bonds, and then award the bonds and close. And you're talking probably 90 to 120 days to do that from the time you start. So this just reiterates what I said and gives you an idea of each of your future board meetings. As soon as you approve the preliminary engineer's report and move on to the next meeting and the next meeting, these are the agenda items you would be looking at each board meeting to get from start to finish. And it's pretty much the same, whether it's a public offering or a private placement, which are the next couple of slides. The only difference there is while you're doing your bond validation, if we do a private placement, we'll be working with educating the banks on the credit versus working with the rating agencies and talking to them about the credit. So either way, we're preparing a credit package and talking to one or the other. And that's the typical agenda going forward for the private placement. And then this is just the standard FINRA disclosure that we're required to provide for the regulatory agency that regulates the underwriters.
You still call these story bonds?
Yes, sir. We have to tell the story.
And what kind of a rating would you consider an excellent rating?
The rating is going to depend upon the status of development. Of course, the district has a good collection history for their assessments, but the rating agencies are going to want to see that you're at least 90% developed with no vacant parcels that would be considered concentration of debt. So if we can get there, we'd probably be talking an A- rating in that neighborhood. That's investment grade, so that's good for the district.
On the timeline, just one of the unknowns is, my understanding of talking to other councils from the districts, is the timing of the validation hearing by virtue of times of having the hydro review. They've been moving along faster than historically. The county's pretty good about scheduling. So it may be a little longer than 95 days. It's just the vagaries of the court schedule. Lee County is pretty rapid.
And as I mentioned, we'll be simultaneously running a parallel course with that validation hearing process, with the assessment hearing process, where you'll, approve the assessments, that whole rigmarole where you send out mailed notices to all the residents and you invite here and they fill up the room and the parking lot and ask
Here?
questions.
Gateway, no, won't happen. They'll be here when the construction equipment shows up about a year later.
Okay.
That's when they'll be here. Or the first bill comes out.
So that really concludes the presentation on Gateway. And then the other item is our agreement. This is our firm qualifications. It just gives you a little bit of information on our background. And we've been in this business since we were part of Prager Seeley and Company back in the early 90s. My familiarity with the district dates back to when the district was first created, because I was here as the district's first accountant and set up the books and installed the utility billing system.
I saw that name before.
You did? Don't make me turn you off.
Older than dirt.
Yeah.
So what's going to be our determination for public versus private?
Today, the action that's being requested is to authorize entering into the agreement.
And here,
I'm sorry, Mr. Guy. The requested direction, correct me if I'm wrong, Rhonda, is to authorize entering into the agreement to retain the services of MBS Capital Markets for underwriting services.
And then we'll come back to the board with the different options, whether to go public or private and the economics. And like I said, it really depends upon how long out you want to take the debt. And I will look
That's
to
really the
staff for
determining factor
guidance.
is the length of debt.
Yeah, so I'll let you know what the
Yeah,
assessments will be, if they're
20
20 years versus 30 years, and you guys decide what you want to do.
Well, you're gonna act as FA on this deal?
No, sir, we don't act as FA.
So either public or private, it'll be 120 days turnaround? About-
Just about, with all the hearings that you need to go
About-
through.
About approximate.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we retain the services of MBS for our project.
I will say.
I have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? I'll call a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Appreciate it.
much.
Look forward to seeing your findings.
You know, while Rhonda and Russ are still here, I guess the question, Laura, maybe this is a question for Tyler when he's on the engineer's report, is the status, when he reports under district engineer, what's the status of the engineer's report?
I have that. That's
Finally?
my, I'm gonna give an update on that.
I'm sorry. is
I'm giving an update on that. Fred and I met, so that's
Oh.
part of my update, actually.
And then three,
I think Russ has.
yes, Russ, you wanna?
For the record, Russ Wire with Real Estate Econometrics, two things. One, there are two parts to this, right? We have the bond issue, but we also have to do the validation portion of it, which that's when we need to put everything in there. Because you don't want to go back and validate, right?
Absolutely correct.
That makes sense. So we will need to do that. It's kind of a two-part process. The second part of this is, I've been working with Rhonda for an awful long time. We just did 2 bond issues at Ave Maria this year. So great firm. I really highly recommend them. Looking forward to working with you again. So,
Impressive client list.
Yeah, and like Rhonda said, she knows the district, Brett knows the district, the firm knows.
What is the three, it says agreement, what is,
That was what you just voted on.
okay, so that's the actual agreement.
Yeah,
actually.
Yes.
Okay, yep, okay.
Retention.
Perfect. District engineer, Stephen.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Actually, you're getting Tyler Wainwright today. So I'll be filling in for Steven. Long time no see.
Yep, thanks, Tyler.
Mr. Chairman, the board, any further questions or comments?
No, Ron, I think you're
Nope.
free to go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Tyler.
Hey, so first up here is task authorizations. If you guys got any questions on here, let me know. I'll walk you through a couple highlighted ones that we want to discuss and mention. So the one obviously is the bids that are going to come up later. I will save that for the action item on the Lake Bank Restoration Project. The utility relocation for Griffin Drive, we are still waiting for bidding on Lee counties. Bond validation, Hawthorne, street lighting review. Street lighting review, Mr. Gefford, I know this is an important one to you. Want to give you an update on that. We did get some information back from the lighting maintenance person that was able to provide some information on that lighting. So our people are putting together the analysis now to produce that luminescence report. So we will be able to get that back to you next week. If you got any follow-up that you'd like to discuss on that, happy to talk to you about it.
Will I have costs with it, Tyler?
Costs as far as implemented improvements?
Yeah.
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
So basically what we're doing is we got a little bit of information from that lighting rep. So we're going to input that, see how that turns out. And then our expectation is that we're going to make recommendations for you to replace those fixtures with something else that may be a little better suited for the area. And then, yeah, we can put costs in there associated with what that'll take to do.
Yeah, for my fellow board members, this is a P-PAC item where we have one intersection that is particularly potentially dangerous. So, okay.
Laura, can you scroll to the top of this list really quick? Hey, Tyler, what's the timing consideration for the flowway weirs adjustment, waiting on the permitting for that? Do we know about how much longer that's going to take?
That's getting really old.
I know that we submitted it, and I know that South Florida has had it under review for, I want to say they submitted it back in January last time I talked to Stephen, but I don't have any better information than that. I'm sorry. Let me check on it, and I will try to get you a better timeline on it.
Yeah, if you can just, as an action item, just have Steven circle back to see where they're at in that, if we can get some kind of timeline. You know, is it a couple weeks out, or are they a month behind? Just so we have an idea of where we're at.
Hey, Bob, are you
Okay.
talking about the task number 2208 for the streetlight review? Is that's for Pelican, or that's for all inclusive Gateway too?
This one was particularly aimed at Pelican, at the intersection of Pelican Reserve Boulevard and Cypress Grove. And PPAC authorized a specific task authorization for an analysis and recommendation.
Okay.
And PPAC is meeting next Thursday, Tyler, so if that recommendation can be available for that meeting, it would be very helpful.
So let me ask you this. I want to ask you, Laura, because maybe you know. So I know that we're looking to redo possibly the streetlights in Gateway Boulevard, right?
Yep.
When capital comes. So,
More than just Gateway Boulevard, but yes.
well, Griffin from Silver Lake's entrance all the way to 82, it's brand new, so we're not going to be touching that.
Correct. Yep.
So then my expectation is if those lights are out, they should be replaced. And I have noted, like literally almost 8 months, like those lights are out, you know, a few there. And then same thing here at the church. So I get it, like that we're gonna wait for the ones that we're gonna redo the whole thing. But if you have here and there where there's more we're not gonna be touching, I don't understand why we're not replacing them. Why is it
When you say they're out,
they're out?
Bulb?
Yeah, bulb, just a
Okay,
bulb replacement. That's
That
all
ought
we
to be
needed.
ongoing.
And then, you know, prior to,
Yeah, big
all
deal.
Brian kept saying is like, oh, we're gonna redo the whole thing. And I'm like, those poles just went out not even a year ago, so you're not gonna redo that.
Sure.
They just need to be redone. I
Aren't those
mean, so-
LEDs?
But what I've been, it'll come up in my update, but part of what I've been working on with Fred is to get their engineers portion for the bond validation done. And I met with Bill, our electrician, to go over the streetlights part. And the part that we're looking at working on is Gateway Boulevard from Daniels to Stony Brook, because those are new, and from Stony Brook forward, do wiring and poles there. We'd like to go to breakaway poles. And then on Griffin, the lighting is already uniform, except for Silver Lakes from Silver Lakes from Gateway Boulevard needs new wiring. And then Commerce Lakes to West Links also has one light, and then West Links to Daniels. So there's areas that
Random
need to be
areas, yeah.
redone.
yeah, but I think I think what.
We're not neglecting the lights if they're out in the meantime, if that's what you're asking, because I know I have sent Bill and Bentley out to several locations for lights that are out, and we've done our best to repair whatever can be repaired or replaced. If it's bulbs or wiring, we're still taking care of things, even though we're going to be replacing the streetlights. We're not neglecting things or not making repairs because we're going to be doing this
I
project.
disagree with that 100% because
Okay.
then I need
Then
an
I need to know if you,
then I
we
need
can
an
connect
explanation
later.
why are those are not
So I
done.
think
When
that-
staff created the report, you know, like Brian created a report. I know he was out there and he checked every single one when Chris was here.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you tell me that, but when I'm not seeing them working, then I have to disagree
Okay.
completely.
Well, can we connect after? Like,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk about it, and I'll make sure that I have someone go take a look, because I was under the impression that anything that was out that we were able to take care of, whether it be new wiring or lights or whatever we need to do, that
Was
we
being
have been
taken
taking care of, because I've been sending Bill and Bentley out all over the place fixing stuff.
Yeah, let's just have staff do just do a check.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
let's
if
just
you have specific
do a lighting
areas, let
check,
me
just make
know.
sure that
Yeah.
everything is
And
operational.
we'll connect after outside of the meeting.
Anything else for Tyler, Tetra Tech?
Are we gonna do anything regarding the aeration, Daniels Preserve 79? It's coming up, right? I think that's one of the aeration and fountains are all together in 1 meter. And
Ellen and I were talking about that yesterday. I think that's a good opportunity. She agreed, and we talked about it. I think that's a good opportunity for us to take and split that metering off, since we need to move the meter and the pole and everything anyway. It makes sense for us to put an additional meter and have ours be on ours and theirs be on theirs. And since everything needs to be taken out and relocated, it's the perfect time to do it.
yeah, so that's what I want to know. I think now is the time. So do you get any direction from us? Or
Why don't we, is that something you would just bring to the next?
We'll put
let's
something
bring it to the
together
next-
to present.
Next board meeting.
Because
as a
79
formal
is not one of the
agenda
top it's not like high on, it's not one of the
Mhm.
first ones to be done, but it will take some time for me to submit to have a meter installed and all of that. So.
Yeah, I think part of the discussion we get to the award, the bid, we can have that conversation that we had a staff discussion about changing the banjos out and all that.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what I was concerned, because I think it's mixed the bill. Like they're paying for the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it makes sense for us to split the main.
And that would be the time when we do the lake bank restoration project. So
Right.
that, I think we talked about that in our staff discussion. I think that'll come up under that.
Okay.
For Tyler, how are we handling these point repairs on the lake bank restorations? Not the major projects, but the point repairs. How are we handling getting Tetra Tech to get the design on those, to get those going? Because the water levels are immensely down right now, and now's the time to fix them.
I know Met Tower is doing the 3 lakes that I sent you.
But what are they basing the design on?
I would have to pull it up. I can't answer that right now.
Are these lakes
Major-
not yet?
They're
in
lakes
sequence?
not included. They're just major failures, erosion failures that have been around for years. They were supposed to be corrected a couple of years ago, and the money didn't get spent, let's say wisely, and we ran out.
And you said, when you say spot, these are just isolated areas. It's not.
Like
Wash
maybe
outs.
30, 40 feet
Okay.
where the whole bank is slid into the lakes that need to be taken care of. And I'm sure there's others other than the 3 I know of that we need to be having inclusive in this. But my question is that I don't like just telling a contractor, go fix it without specs.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
Yeah.
you can
And
answer
I'm
the
trying
question
to
like,
figure out who's writing the specs.
and funding for this, is this part of,
I thought we had monies
We
reserved for
do.
this.
We do have money
Yeah.
set aside to do the point
in
repairs.
our
Point
in the
repairs.
standard budget?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So
And
maybe we
is
just,
there a priority list to your question? Have they been prioritized?
Well,
This
I
is the
don't
first?
know the answer to that, Bob. I think what we need to do is to find out from staff how many other ponds that are not included on our timeline for regular bank work that have problems that are severe.
We ought to have a comprehensive list, so we know what we're going to.
We need a
so
list of
Laura,
all
can
of
you,
them.
get with staff?
Yep.
And if we can do it the next board meeting or the meeting after, depending on,
Sure, it'll be Al, and she
Scope.
gives her update at the next meeting, so I can ask her to include that.
and what we'd like to see is, we need a list of
Lineal footage
all,
preferably.
spot bank projects that are outside of current restoration sequencing. A stack rank based on severity. And then, I don't know if we'll probably have some initial costs, right?
Well, we had
Linear
one,
feet, that'll give you your
Yeah.
cost.
we had one 2 years ago when Brian was doing this, and I forget how many locations were on it, but I want to say 10 or 12, and we only funded 3 of them.
Yeah.
We ran out of money.
Okay. Well, let's
So
let's get
we
that
should have something
prioritization.
to work with.
We should know about what the linear foot is. And then also, if we could just get a high level outline of what the scope of work, what needs to be done and what
Yeah.
approach we're taking to repair.
And it's always going to be a kind of a moving target because a new area could present itself.
Yeah.
That has not heretofore been
And that's what
considered.
happened with the money, because I think it was that $2,800 repair that was assumption that was 1, and then it was 18 of those.
On
And
that
that's why we
side.
that's why we were out of money.
It never came back here.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
happened.
Okay.
We-
So you'll
yeah.
take that away and we'll bring it back.
Yep.
That's a good item to add. Anything else?
For a contract, I think.
Yeah, so the other item for us is the that bid recommendation letter, unless you guys have any other questions on the status report here.
So were there any?
All right, so
Go ahead.
sorry, I just was going to give you just a brief background here. So this is the bid recommendation for the bids that were received for this year's lake bank repairs. There's a total of 7 lakes here that were bid out. The low bidder for all of them was Met Tower Environmental. The bid prices were, I want to say, approximately 9% lower than last year, I think. You scroll down and read, I think we put it in there. But 9% sounds right. So they were, pricing was favorable. We were pretty we were pretty happy with the pricing that was received. The concern that we originally had was that all the lakes were, the low bidder for all the lakes was one vendor. We had some conversations about their ability to complete the lakes. They made some commitments that they were going to bring on some additional crews to perform the work and complete the work within this year. So I don't know if staff has any other comment on that, but I believe we came to a point that we were satisfied with what they were going to be doing this year. So that is the recommendation, to make the award to Met Tower for the price shown there.
I have one question for council.
Yes, sir.
If we decide to go with this one vendor for all these lakes, and if they have committed to
Show the bidders again.
to be able to fulfill that, is there additional language we can put in around time to completion? And if, you know, if it's not completed within that time, just maybe some
Sure.
considerations.
Typically what we have, I think with the bid package, and Tyler can correct me if I'm wrong, Laura, typically we have a form of a contract, a substantially final form, but the board can and has the ability to add some additional terms. So if the board wants to award the bid subject to having additional provisions in the contract with regards to either incentives for performance or depending upon the schedules that are established.
You talking about liquidated damages?
But we have liquidated damages typically, but this, I don't know if you're talking about.
And the reason,
liquidated
you know, and
damages or incentives.
my intent on this
Liquidated
is,
damages are hard to enforce.
yeah, my intent on this is not so much, you know, to put Met Tower or Metro or ERTech under any undue pressure, but there's schedules that we need to adhere to. So there's, you know, if delivery is not met, it puts us at risk, you know, potentially for other things. So so can you maybe, well, would you want recommendations from the board on what stipulations to put in?
That's correct. There's a vote, because if the board's going to award the bid today, subject to, you know, some additional inclusions in the contract between the vendor to whom the contract is awarded, it'd be helpful to have that today. And then ultimately, I'd bring it back at the next board meeting so the board can see it in black and white.
Are we talking about a penalty for not getting done work?
That's what I want to put as
Because
as
if
a
you do
consideration.
that, you need to be looking at an award for getting the work done ahead.
Sooner, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can do it now. You can do it both ways. You can do rebate and bonus. I think in this case, for me, it is more about, you know, consideration potentially for one vendor, and having some assurance that the work can be completed within that, you know, within that time period.
Yeah,
So I'm not so much work. I mean, the award would be you get the contract and you deliver. If it, you know, if they're a month ahead of schedule, that isn't as advantageous to us as if they go a month, 2 months, 3 months beyond, then that puts us in scheduling.
Yeah, I guess the question for staff, and Scott, I'm glad you stepped up, is if I recall, typically the process is the staff sets that, gives a notice to proceed with a schedule. The parties get together. I think typically the vendor proposes a schedule of work for that particular phase of the project. And of necessity, in this instance, all the lakes after the first lake are dependent upon completion of the first lake.
Understood.
And so I guess that's a question for Scott, is that when the schedule comes in, the staff knows, and I guess the question is, typically it's at a staff level, unless you want to come back to the board to establish the schedule that's going to occur.
And before Scott goes, I just want to say, I'm not saying that that's something that I would require. It's just more of, is that something we should be discussing if that time of completion could impact other things that we may have. If it does not, then.
Better, Doug, than that is practical, because they're held hostage.
I don't know that rain and other things align with that. I just wanted to bring it up. If we feel like it's, you know, it's not needed during this time period, and we have faith that, you know, they'll scale up and do everything, then I'm fine with it. I'm not going to push it. I just thought it might be up for consideration.
Yeah, I guess like just trying to look at a penalty would be the only really thing that we could hold them accountable.
Yeah,
It's
for
not like we're
rebate,
gonna have another, but then if you go out to rebid and get another vendor, then you're still gonna be delayed, and then like.
And pay more.
Well, no, what
it's not-
you allow them to complete the work,
Yeah.
but they do it, there's a rebate kickback.
Yeah, I
Well,
think,
the idea typically for liquidated damages is you can't articulate what the damages will be caused by delay or breach. And so you say, we all agree up front this would be the damages
That's what
that
you
the
gotta do.
district will incur.
And it was
So
supposed to be bid.
I'm sorry?
It should have been bid, not negotiated
Well,
after a bid
Well, typically liquidated damages in the,
in the contract documents.
yeah, and it's typically in there anyway.
Yeah.
Just
If I recall,
generally,
our
yeah.
standard contract has that in there.
My,
I believe so.
my only concern on all of it was, and pleased with the numbers that Met Tower provided, but 25% is a huge number. Differential between the first and second bid. Did anybody talk to Metro are they so damn busy that this is one of those deals, if they get it, they're happy, or
Well,
was
they
there
didn't
any?
even bid on 2 of the ponds,
I'm sorry,
and Metro didn't even bid on 2
I
ponds.
know it, I know it.
So it
and
would
then
have been,
then
even higher than everything.
Then you go to ERTEC, and then you're looking at 35% greater, which are substantial numbers. I was just wondering what Met Tower does have knowledge of the community, so they've got that working
Absolutely.
for them. So that's big.
So Scott, go ahead.
Okay. Scott Connell, interim project manager for capital improvements. The day after the bids were open, which was February 14th, I called Chris Mettauer and said, well, let me ask you the $64,000 question. How are you going to get all this done in time? And he came back with the response, and I have it in writing, a draft or a preliminary schedule that they're bringing in additional crews. They're going to beef up and where they've, this is their game plan right now is Lake 58. They're going to have a number of crews there to take care of it in about 3 weeks.
That's a
To
huge project.
3.5 weeks. So that's from the start, and also Lake 62, they're getting, again, with all their crews, be about 2 to 2.5 weeks. And then they're going to be doubling up simultaneous, like working Lake 85 and 88 at the same time. Again, that's about 2.5 to 3 weeks. And then 127 and 130, again, approximately 2 weeks or so. And then 79 and Lake 117, again, would be about a week and a half or so for each of those smaller ones. And going back to your comment, Bob, of why Metro didn't bid 2 of them, because they use that barge method. They don't work from the land, they work from the barge, they work from the water. And those lakes,
Be a little tight.
that wouldn't facilitate their method.
Yeah, and my only comment was with the total bid package, without 2 ponds in there, the bid means nothing.
It would even be
Apples to
higher,
apples.
yeah.
It'd be much higher.
True. Again, as Tyler mentioned, and I talked to Steven about this, is, the lineal foot price, when you break it all down, is comparable to what has been in the past. And also on timing, I think the last round of lakes, they, due to extenuating circumstances, being high water and some of that, they were granted some additional time because it took a year and a half, 2 years to complete the last round. So they have now, in the last 2 ponds they've done, they've pumped where prior they didn't when they first started. So they see that that's advantageous. Again, we don't dictate means or methods. We just make sure they comply.
Have we sent these documents yet to SRF for approval, bid documents?
That'd be a Tetra Tech
I was
question.
wondering how long do we have, assuming we make a motion to award a contract to Metro or to Met Tower, what's our turnaround time on getting
Yeah,
state approval?
I believe Steven,
there was some additional documents that I
Well,
signed.
I believe the memorandum from
Today.
Stephen had it subject to final approval from DEP. Let me find that language that's in his memo.
It is. So we have, the answer is yes, we have sent it to the state. I think they asked for additional documentation. I think there's a couple of certification of debarment and something else they were asking for. So I think there's a couple more forms that we owe them, but yes, we have sent it to them.
And we did get those 2 forms back to you this afternoon. We got them this morning and I turned them around and they should be in your office already.
And
Nothing to hold.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it was minor forms that happened.
if you look at the end of the memorandum, page 2 that Steve put together, the first sentence of the last paragraph, as such, a recommendation would be to proceed with the lakes the GSCDD wishes to restore, should the GSCDD be able to provide funding to cover the contracts and contingent upon the FDEP's approval of the low bidders bid package. So we have that, both the funding built into it as well as as a contingency, the funding as well as the approval of FDEP. And we'll notify Met Tower when they do the notice of award that it's subject to those two conditions. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think the bid package even says it's subject to funding.
Yes, I believe it is.
Okay,
So
well,
what do we need a motion to award the tentative award award a contract
Correct.
to Met Tower for those listed funds?
Yes, with those contingencies and subject to the items that we
and I'll
talked
second
about.
that.
I'll make that motion.
I just have, Scott, just one question. So, Met Tower, do they have a, I'm just not worried, but want to stay on top of the scheduling. So do they have a project manager, someone that's kind of overseeing all of these?
Yes, the owner, Chris Mettauer.
Okay. So when we talk to Chris, we'll just need just some regular updates on how we're at
Every meeting,
schedule.
come and tell us where they
Yeah.
are.
Sure.
Just,
Put out a Gantt chart. It just, you can measure their progress. Here's what we thought we were gonna do. Here's where we are.
here's where we're at. Yeah.
Because I'm very encouraged that they're already planning on additional crews. I mean,
Yes, they are, yeah.
That's, and they know what they're dealing with.
I can't say they're going to do a Gantt chart. They might
Well, I
do
mean,
a work chart.
any kind of chart, yeah.
I can make a Gantt chart for you.
Any chart that
Any
allows us. plan
any additional
versus-
questions before I call the vote? Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you.
Good job on that, Scott.
Okay,
Thanks, Steve.
so I think that wraps up engineering. We'll move on to district manager report. Laura.
Okay, follow up from the last meeting. Flavia, you had mentioned some concerns about parking down on Gateway by the charter school. I did reach out to the president there last week, or the principal, sorry, the principal of the school last week, and she was going to send a reminder to the parents as well as work with their school resource officer to address the parents and remind them that they're not supposed to be parking there. And I told her that I'm sure the people next door at Alta would appreciate if they didn't park in their parking lot as well. As we asked them to move off the grass, to not park in Alta's parking lot. And I did sent an email to my contact at Lee County Sheriff to just kind of ask them to keep an eye on the area as well. And as well as this no parking area out here now that the covers are off the signs and the road is done. President's Council meeting recap. There was about 20 people in attendance at the meeting. Mr. Tinkle, Mrs. Walsh, and myself, Kenny, were there. Kenny talked about the new water rates and the irrigation schedule. And then I gave some updates on the license plate readers, the arborist, and the district manager search, the work that Premier is doing for us. The Infomark agreement expires April 1st. Stephen Bloom and I met last Friday to discuss changes to the agreement. There's a couple of minor things. Mostly on the administrative side, there's things we've been duplicating efforts where Georgia's doing work and Maryland is doing it as well. So we're going to take that away. So it'll be ready to go on the agenda for the March 17th meeting for approval. Tony I had an update about the limited use access road. Tony covered that.
I guess for the board has the handout.
I did, yep, I gave.
Okay, in that case, if anyone on the board has any questions for me or anybody with regards to it, to read that.
I don't have any questions. Anyone else?
No.
Okay.
And we're gonna try to meet mid to late next week as a whole committee then to team to go over kind of divide and conquer, like what things I'll need to make sure we get quotes for, all that kind of stuff. This is the real high level Tony engineer tasks that need to get done, permitting, things like that. And then the team will kind of divide and conquer the other things. GIS update. I don't know, Scott, are you gonna talk about that or do you want me to? I'll let Scott talk about that. And then the bond update. Fred and I have been meeting weekly to go over the spreadsheet that he has to help complete the engineer's portion for the validation. And I've been getting input from from Alice for stormwater and Bill for the electrical portions of the stuff on the sheet, so we can get that completed. So I'm hopeful that by the time we have the meeting on the 17th, I will have something to show you. That was kind of our goal, Fred and I, to have it substantially complete to the point where we can actually show you a work product. He has a very, very good start on it already. I saw the really rough draft of it this morning, and we should have that for you in a couple weeks. And that's all I have.
Okay, moving on, we'll go to Kenny.
Good afternoon. Kenny Hall, Utility Director. Just need 1 second to get everything set up. What I'm about to show you is the actual footage, the highlight version of the sanitary sewer break and what we're up against here. Go ahead and fast forward it to 120 feet. As you can see, we got a clean pipe, a little bit of water in there. That's a sanitary sewer line going down Callaway Greens at 120 feet. Back it up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Back it up.
Yep.
Go about 118 feet.
Or more.
This is the good one right here. Okay, so there we are. There's the first one. That is a 6-inch lateral coming into the sanitary sewer main. As you can see by the discoloring, this has been going on for quite a while. And that's the actual robotic camera with the 360-degree lens. If we were looking at it through our lateral camera, this would be underwater. It just goes straight. There's no, and when he goes up to it, he flips it around. You can get a view of
This
the
is the
lateral.
one we rented, right?
This is sewer viewers footage.
Did we put a camera in that service lateral?
That's what I'm getting to that point right now.
Small rat.
As you can see, he can articulate everything, and this is the good one, believe it or not. This will be the second repair. Okay, go ahead.
What is that from?
This is off of a lateral coming out of a residential home as it goes into the sanitary sewer main. This is the lateral next to it. This is a break by the mineral buildup. This is the next service lateral coming into the force main. As you can see, the material buildup, that is mineral buildup slowly coming through.
Are we going east to west?
We're going east. We're going up. We're going east to west.
East to west.
Yes.
So this is the lateral.
This, you're looking into the lateral right here as it comes into the sanitary sewer. And the mineral buildup, say that is a break. It's not nearly as bad as the other one, but they're right next to each other. Okay, go ahead and fast forward to 200.
How far away from the line, the collection line, is that break? Yep.
We don't know yet. I'll get to that. I'm getting to that point. At 220, go ahead, 220 feet is the next one. As you can already start to see it right there, as you go down the line. This is the bad one. This is where we're going to start. This one almost takes up the entire pipe coming in. And as you can see, the pipe is already about a quarter full from the other break. And that is the second break. This is at 220 feet. This one's bad.
Do you know what service lateral that is? What street address?
I'll show you. We've pretty much got this one identified. We've got the second one, or the first one that you saw is going to be a little bit more trickier, but this one is going to be a real challenge to get this one done because of the location. Once we get done with the video, I made you a rough sketch so you can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. Go ahead and go past that a little bit. There's a fourth break farther down all the way to the intersection, but it is a weeping leak. It's just a drip, drip, drip. We'll conquer that one once we get these ones squared away.
With this kind of water coming out, I can't believe that we don't have a consolidation of material to where we've got an area that could have a sinkhole.
We do.
We do?
We do. I'll get to that. Okay, so that's basically it.
I don't like this. I'll get to that because
We've got
At the end, you know, Kenny.
Kenny thinks
Kenny likes at the end.
he's on the Price is Right.
Come on down.
400 feet of sanitary sewer. We've got 4 breaks on it. 3 of them are breaks. 1 is a weeping leak. The weeping leak, we can get that one, no big deal. The CP, go ahead and go to the next picture. I did a rough sketch to just kind of give you an idea of the strategy and how we're going to tackle that break that we were just looking at. Got it? Yeah.
Hey, Kenny, how did you identify this? How did you know?
Well, we were just doing.
Sewer breaks with Comcast and the water.
Yeah, general maintenance, we go through and pull all the manholes, and when you open it up, you got the Nile River running down the middle of the line. You know something's wrong. Standard gravity flow is even at peak time, it will not do with that like that.
I can't find the picture. Oh, here, is it this one or this?
Okay, can you open that one up?
Yep.
And you guys might have to zoom in on this. I kind of did a sketch for you. The yellow line indicates the lateral line coming out of the house. At the X at the very top is the clean out in front of her door. So it comes down the driveway, banks, goes at a 45-degree angle, and this is what we can determine. And then it straightens out again, and right where that X is, right there, and I outlined it with broken lines, we're gonna have to, from the clean out to the main, we cannot get the camera in there. There's just too many bends in the line. We get to a certain point and we just cannot get that camera any farther. So what we're gonna have to do is where that X is circled at is open that up, excavate it, catch the sewer line, cut it, put our camera in there, and then we can go from that point to the main, because that's what our vendor, which is gonna do a CIPP, which is a cast in place pipe. He needs a 20-foot shot of what that pipe looks like. And the challenge with this one is it's on the main side. So you've got a 8-inch water main sitting at 4 feet, and you have an irrigation main, a 6-inch irrigation main sitting at 6 feet. So at some point that lateral comes out and it just straight drops about 4 feet, from 4 feet. Goes straight down because they've got to come down and get under that irrigation pipe and get out to the sewer. So from that X to the actual sanitary sewer is where this is broken at, and we cannot determine exactly. So what we're gonna have to do is go out there, open up this lady's yard and dig it out, cut the line, camera it, put it all back together, send the camera to our vendor, and then they'll come in, open it back up, and then they'll shoot a line through there. It's called a cast in place pipe. And it'll basically give us a brand new pipe inside of the existing pipe.
Kenny, and that's, I guess the question is, the easement line, is that top dash line? That's the district's utility easement?
It's about 2 feet. We're gonna be in her yard.
No, but I'm just saying that dash line, right there.
Oh, no, what that dash line is her landscaping coming off the front of her line.
Where's the extent of the district's utility easement?
2 feet off of that 8-inch water main.
You don't want to ask that, Tony.
No,
Don't go there.
No, there's a reason why I'm asking. I know
Not good.
it's not pretty to go there. I agree, but it has to go, I guess. So when you say 2 feet off of
Off of where that 8-inch water main is, 7 feet from the valley
so
gutter.
how
is our
far is
easement.
the X from that 8 inch?
About a foot. We're about a foot into into private property.
So, no, here's the question. No, the question, is that X within the district's utility easement?
No, it is not.
Okay, and my concern is, and this is a discussion with the board, is under the utility rules, where's the point of delivery, the point of connection? It's at, we've had
The
this
Y.
conversation before.
Yes.
Yeah, it's at where it connects either at a clean out or a Y in the district's right of way. And so that's part of the problem.
So we cannot get into that pipe to video it. We have to give the vendor the camera so they can determine how they're going to clean the line and how much footage they need.
That's not what he's saying.
Well,
The
If we have a
responsibility
road
for
right,
repair.
we have a road right away there, it's 40 feet.
Or the
We have
easement,
a 20
utility easement, yeah.
I'm good there. The road right away is 40 feet, which I believe they are in Calibration. That's a 20-foot half. 12-foot pavement, that means you got 8 feet to the point of delivery. The question is this inside or outside?
That's right.
The 8 feet.
That's where I'm headed, yeah.
That's where I figured.
I'm almost,
I don't even want to bring that up.
yeah, and with this, and in this community, there are no cleanouts. There's,
Right, we've had-
there, I think we found 3 out of the whole community. There is no 6-inch cleanout that you can visually see. So the only way we can even get into that line is to go up on a private property at the house where their cleanout is and shoot. But
I guess the
we
question
can't get into the
is,
lateral.
and this is a legal, I know Mr. Tinkle, this whole issue about responsibility, if it's in the district easement, that's our responsibility. If it's not, arguably, it's not the district's responsibility. So I guess the question, assuming for sake of discussion, it's either any segment of it is within the district easement, and district funds can go fix that. Would it be appropriate to now put a clean out close to?
Oh, yeah, so we're going in there, we're going to put a cleanout.
Okay.
What I can understand is that if we're not in the landscaping, is this 11256?
No.
What's the address?
It's 2 doors down,
Where?
2 doors down,
2 doors, which way, east or west?
going towards the exit. So that will
West.
be west.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Only way to do this is to have a truck there working with them. First of all, we need to find out if they're seasonal. If they're seasonal, it would be easy to take and just simply go up there when they're gone, open this up, put in the pipe and be done with it. Yeah, a lot easier. My concern is that quantity of water is coming from someplace.
It's below the water table. So I mean,
Sorry?
it's below the water table.
What you gotta be doing then is that when you excavate that, you should go down a huge pump drawn down to be able to go in there, replace the pipe, and then backfill it. It's gonna be a job. If they're at home, they're gonna be not able to use their sewer for a while.
No,
So
the 4 hours, 4 hours. They won't, the sewer, their sewer line will be down for 4 hours.
And to the extent that there needs to be a large area excavated,
Yes.
It will be large.
it'll go
Yes.
out, obviously it'll go outside the district's easement. We would appropriately need to have a temporary easement from the people to engage in that work.
With the issue you're bringing up is on point, and it scared me in Gateway for a long time. And that is that line of demarcation, as you indicated, the point of delivery. A lot of these issues are immediately outside the point of delivery. And technically, they're the property owners.
Yeah,
The problem you run into is like we ran into there up at 11280, is when the idiots at Westinghouse brought the service line down. Just imagine this is it. Only instead of where it makes the turn, goes in here on this picture, run it into the next guy's yard.
I know. Kenny and Austin have shown me that in the past.
It's a nightmare. But if we do this, all I can say is we're opening up Pandora's box. That you did one, you're gonna do them all.
I get
Set
it.
precedent.
Yeah,
Set precedent.
It's and what we're talking about here is a lot of money. You're talking about a lot of money.
If-
just for repair.
I'll throw this, if we have to excavate, meaning we have to go down to where that CIPP is, and that's where the break is, and we have to excavate that, that's some serious issues there. Because we're gonna have to cut the road, and there's a fire hydrant, I mean, there's just,
Right where that X is at, which is where we.
that's where I'm anticipating we're gonna catch the line, we can cut it, go in, camera it,
What do you guess to the invert, 6 feet there?
about that, yeah.
And is this is the line where there's all four of those breaks are in this line?
No, 3 of them are on this line from manhole to manhole.
Okay.
On that video you just saw.
Kenny, is a dashed line the extent of what you would need to excavate? Is that what that box indicates?
Yes.
So, and again, that gets back to if it's not inside a district easement, the district would need to get a temporary construction easement to engage in that work, and I'm sure the property owner will be happy to grant that.
Let's think why they wouldn't.
I agree. So that's a simple, we'll have to,
$10,000?
we'll assume that. And then I guess the question is, if there's no mortgage on that property, what might be the easiest solution for the future is to get a new grant of easement, extending it more into the lot. If the board, and again, but I think the immediate issue is a temporary construction easement, and arguably that's the property owner's line, but it's so close to the edge of the easement. And you're talking about impacting the district's facilities in a big way. If it was further up, I think it's an easier answer, saying it's obviously the property owner's problem.
They say that X on this paper that I've got circled does not denote where the break is. That is denoting where we're going to go in.
So,
That's actually.
Kenny, when you
Right.
have and I think you and I talked this before, so when you're running the camera come through, there's no way to accurately mark where the camera is or where.
Sure, we can radar, we have a sonde, we can kind of get a general, but as you get deeper and you get into the water table, it becomes less and less reliable.
Okay, so you have there's an estimation of where the
Yes.
X is.
And right where I'm estimating on that X is, and I've never seen this yet in Gateway, but right about that point, because it has to turn and get under that irrigation main, it waterfalls. I mean, it's like a 4-foot, just straight drop. And then it catches it again and then goes in.
So immediately left of that X, there is a drop.
Yeah, there's just a straight drop. It drops straight down it. Yeah, and in Callaway, and a lot of it is because that irrigation main runs along there and it has to get under it.
And
So it has to go
where that drop, it drops down to how many feet?
Almost, yeah, I'd say once it turns into the sanitary sewer, you're probably within 7 to 8 feet, I would say.
So we're not gonna engineer the fix here now. What's the next steps then?
We're gonna have to go out there, and as I told Supervisor Tinkle that I would like, somebody from an HOA or the individual community's HOA there when we approach this homeowner to let them know.
What do you need from us to go forward?
I'd say authorization if necessary to meet with the property owner, and if need be, get a temporary construction easement from them.
Yeah.
And work with staff to get that. And once we determine the general location, but it sounds like either way, even if it's in the district's easement, it's so close to the edge of it, that you're gonna need a big area
sure.
excavate. You're gonna have to go up into her yard.
I think there's an additional step here because again, we're past our existing, we're outside of our easement. we're outside
Well,
of.
we don't know that yet. We think so.
It,
We'll be outside the easement to do the hole.
okay, so, but my point is, we're gonna go dig in here. What kind of protection do we have over, we're basically gonna be going into someone's yard.
That's what we get the easement for.
Which it could be questionable whether or not it should be our responsibility or
And should
not. I
we
think
be
we're
using
gonna do.
funds for it? That's my only
Oh,
concern.
no, I have no problem from a legal perspective of using district funds to get a temporary grant of easement to
To do the
engage in
search.
construction activities, which would then allow us to access that property, just to go in there and determine the exact location
Right.
of that particular
And then-
property.
and
So
then
that's-
set a
I don't
decision.
want something to happen
That's step
where we
one.
have done the right thing here.
That's step
And
one.
then something happens and we get on the hook for more.
Kenny,
than what-
did you guys did you run a chlorine test on that water by any chance?
No, it's
I
groundwater.
know it's diluted in that area, but
Yeah.
my concern is if we got a leak in that water line right there, that is one hell of a lot of water coming in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is. And if you look on that drawing,
Go ahead and do the investigation.
I suggest a
And then
two-part
see what we
process.
learn from that, and then we'll take our next.
Yeah,
step.
Well,
I have a
there's
question.
another option too. You get in there. We do have another alternative. We come back from the main and we extend the riser up on the roadside of the water and the irrigation. And we go over it and come back and we put in pipe with no joints, such that we maintain the 10-foot separation. And we do it that way. Then we don't have to go dig. And then that way, whatever that leak is, it just sits there.
And that might be cheaper or less costly way to do it.
Very easily be cheaper. But we're guessing right now because we.
yeah,
Okay.
everything is guessing until we actually get that camera into that line and see what is going
If it's
on.
either a water line break or an irrigation break, everything changes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Everything
what I would
changes.
suggest is if there needs to be actual digging and excavating to determine the location, the precise location, that staff approach the property owner, Kenny, to get I'll call it a two-step process. The first step is to get a grant
Exploratory.
of temporary easement solely for the exploratory determination. Then once Kenny and the staff find out what the issue is, come back to the board, report to the
Okay.
board. And then if the board, and Kenny says, hey, it's all within our easement. In fact, Kenny can actually do the work right then and there
Yeah.
to fix it.
I don't believe the break is in our easement.
Yeah,
I don't
if
believe
not,
it's on
then come back to the
side.
board to get further
Are
direction.
the other three the same? Or
Two.
Similar?
Two are just like, we have two real big bad leaks. Do we have a
But I
slow
mean,
leak? And
the
then a weak one.
layout similar to this?
Not like this one. This one is,
Are they
this
better
one's,
or worse?
it depends on your perspective. The first one that we saw, I don't think that's going to be that big of an issue. We're going to have to take the same strategy with the next one though, because there's no clean out. So there's an only way we can get in there and
No
actually,
Clean out at the house?
at the house, that's, 70 feet from where the lateral goes in.
Yeah.
When we get to, I want to do this one first because this is the worst one. And then we'll template it off of that. Again,
I'm okay with the temporary easement, do that.
Yeah, so then my question is, so if we get the temporary easement, we go in and then we find out that the break is, we don't know what it is. And I mean, we wish it was.
for that kind of water coming in, it's got to be below the water table. For that kind of water to be coming
But
into that line.
If we find out then after we go in and get that it's on their side, after the Y, then would they be responsible or should we be responsible? Because that's what I'm concerned.
If it's not on our Y, then it's theirs.
Yeah, but then if you, I mean, I'm just looking at both ways. When we're having the conversation with them, and we're gonna say, hey, we need an easement, but if you find out it's on your dime, they're not gonna give it to us. I think we have to look at the risk of, does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, but here's the
Because
issue.
I wouldn't be like, okay, you can come and do it if something is wrong, but since I'm giving you an easement to come on my property and then now you're gonna come and tell me in a report that the break is in my side and then now I have to repair it.
I got a better one. for you.
Chances is I'm not gonna give you anything.
I've had this happen before. They're gonna come back and tell
You
you,
do it.
yep, no, they're just gonna come back and say, yep, there's a leak there, but it's within the allowable leakage. Let it
Yes.
go.
Well, not that.
I don't know if they would be
I've
knowledgeable.
had
I don't
that
think,
happen.
I don't
Well, I'll
think
tell
that's
you,
gonna be a problem.
it's
we're
a
not gonna-
nightmare.
All right,
It's a
let's
But
continue.
Kenny, the X, if you think the water is at that point, are you on the backside before it drops down? Or are you after I don't think you've gone to the dip yet.
No, I'm anticipating that's where we're gonna cut it.
But
Right
at
at
that
that
point,
That's all. It's just
but by
energy
that point, that's before the drop off.
He doesn't think the leak's there. It's just where he's going in.
That's where I'm going in.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
again, from the property owner's perspective, if they refuse to allow the temporary easement, don't agree to it, I think the board can take the position to draft a letter, a formal letter saying, we believe this issue is on your property. You're causing impacts to our system, excess of infiltration or whatever from your lateral line. You need
We
to
gotta
correct
watch
it.
that because we don't know. that.
We're a long way from there. This-
Yeah.
But we need to get, I need to know who this is
Yeah.
so we can talk. to
Yes,
them.
I blocked out Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week for field staff, and that's all we're gonna
You're
do.
gonna work with the HOA.
Because if they're,
Yes.
if they're seasonal, it would make a much better situation to be able to fix it as opposed if they live there.
And it's summertime.
Kenny, what else do you have?
Arborwood, you want to switch to that? I just wanted to go over this real quick with you. This is another little conundrum that we've run into. I don't know
Is that all
exactly.
these pictures?
Yep, Picture one, that right there. Go ahead and share that one. Just go right down the line real fast.
This is still under the
Can
developer.
you open that? Can you zoom in on that? Okay, this is the Arborwood 3 lift station. And 8 foot off the corner of that fence is a new house. That right there is where his porch is. That's 8
It's
feet.
tight.
Go ahead and go to the next picture.
Sounds like a cellar.
Right there, 8 feet from the corner of his back porch to the corner of that lift station. Right there, go to the next one. 16 feet. That arrow is pointing at a baffle. So it's gonna go
Pointing at what?
a baffle. It's running,
Like a
it's
muffler.
exhaust, running out of that all the time. This is not gonna go over well. I'm guessing this is gonna be the last household in Arborwood. And
Maybe
it's,
one more.
hopefully it's gonna be a rental, but this is going to, we're already looking at, baffling this. We're gonna do the best we can with this, but this is 8 feet from his back porch.
How did they get that close with the plat?
I don't,
I wouldn't give in on this one yet. Somebody screwed up. That ain't right.
yeah, that-
Something's wrong. That dimension, I don't know where 8 feet is in anywhere in Gateway that would have that.
Casella. But
I wouldn't give in.
that's gonna be an issue,
Are you saying the issue is noise?
noise. And well, obviously you're sitting next to a lift station. You're probably 20 feet from the well.
When they bought the house, the lift station wasn't there, we built it afterwards?
No.
No. So they bought it knowing what the hell was there.
Oh, yeah. As I say, it's probably gonna be the last one sold and it'll probably be a rental. But it's going to be
Has
an
the
issue.
district accepted that utility system,
Yes,
all the infrastructure?
yes, we've
From an
accepted that.
engineering point of view, is it all kosher? The
What?
distances?
Oh, yeah,
We got to pull a plat.
I don't know how that came to
There's
be.
something wrong.
But that is what's good. That is what's there. Also with Arborwood 3, since the beginning, tampering fees, they've gotten $8,000 in tampering fees for 4 catches. This is the first going I caught. This guy wasn't too awful sharp. He ran the illegal tap across the street. I'm down at the lift station. I look down, just looking down, and I see that, and then I come walking down there, and sure enough,
He was planning on-
okay, so this guy here,
Inspector.
we went over this with them and we told them the tampering fee started at $1,000. Next one's $2,000. Next one's $3,000. We got this one. I come back the next day, go ahead and go. That's the actual tap right
So
there.
he hot tapped our lines.
Ahead of the check valve,
For construction?
50 gallons of water. Cost him $1,000. Okay, go to the next one.
It's expensive water.
It gets even more expensive. This is what I come back the next morning and he got clever. So he decided to kind of sneak it through these 3 houses down, but he came up, weeded through the housing, thinking he was being clever. I show up, now it's $2,000. So now you got a $3,000 fine. And then 2 doors down, go ahead and go to the next one. 2 doors down,
Same contractor.
same contract, same guy.
I don't know our pictures. No, these are all.
It sounds like a revenue generator to me.
Well, so I go out here, I catch him that day, and then the next day I catch him again, 2 doors down, there's another one. So within 24 hours, they've been fined $5,000. Last week I called him again, it's $3,000. So
They paid that, Ken?
they've paid it. $8,000 in tampering fees for
I
four
guess the question is,
catches.
does the board want to report these to local licensing boards? They yank that person's license?
Yeah. Is it a subcontractor?
It's a subcontractor. We just hand it to Lennar, Lennar hands it to
So
them.
the prime, who's,
Lennar,
huh?
Lennar.
Lennar's the
We give
prime.
Lennar the tampering fee and Lennar disperses it however, and we tell them we're not installing any more meters. We're not doing any kind of check. We're not doing anything until this is paid.
And here's
And then-
my point here. If you don't have any concerns about tapping in multiple times and paying a fee, what else are you comfortable with?
Well, the issue is the fee isn't high enough. That's
Well,
the
but you
issue.
know what I mean? Like if that's the case, are we gonna find these cinder blocks somewhere else? Or, I mean, What,
Like in a 42-inch pipe.
yeah, right?
We've
So
seen it
I
all
think we
with
should
them.
report the
This,
subcontract.
this last one was $3,000 and anytime we catch them any from now on, it's $3,000. They don't, Lennar's really great about it to, they're very cooperative and they'll go out there but
Also, I guess one question for the board is, I mean, there's a possibility of criminal prosecution.
Yes, there is.
I mean, that's, the question is, it seems like no one really.
and I talked to the sheriff about this and they're
They're
they're kind of sketchy about it.
Cut the line and put inside the house and leave it overnight.
And we put locks on it and they cut the locks.
They'll take care of it. They'll stop it there.
Well, that's, I mean,
So can we
Flood the
fine
house.
them plus charge them for
We
doing the
can't
work?
find.
Well, yeah.
We can tampering fee.
Well, the tampering fee, I meant. And then in addition, charge them for having staff there fixing everything else. I mean, why not? Why
That would
not?
be up to the board.
I think, I don't know if it was Ed or someone else, but if that fee doesn't deter you, then that fee's not high enough.
Jack
I
it up.
agree.
I told them to put a big sign at the entrance in English and Spanish. When they come into the complex, they can see it right
See,
there.
usually
Stop,
those
don't
go
do
with
this.
I think there's something missing here. I can understand Lennar's at the head of the list, but there's somebody in between. There is a prime that's involved in here. That's who we need to go after.
It's always the
The
Masons.
prime.
It's always the Masons. When they come in,
I'm sorry.
no, it's for the cinder blocks. When they do the cinder blocks, it's always those guys. That's what we immediately, myself, Tetra Tech has a
'Cause
Wyatt
basically,
on
if
there.
they
And
can't
that's what we
get
look
water,
for.
they have to supply it themselves, right?
And we've given them, the funniest thing, the last one, 4 doors down across the street, there's a fire hydrant meter that we give them that they can take their water from. And I'm like, it's right there. Why, for 50, and they lost one, so they got charged for that. But for 50 gallons of water, you got $3,000 for 50 gallons of water. That's all they're basically doing.
I understand what you're saying about the sheriff's department, but I think it's worthwhile to make a formal complaint to the sheriff's department. It's a misdemeanor, tampering with or damaging, utility systems. And I think it's important.
You're not here.
I think it's important. That's a message. I mean, I know they're almost finished with that community.
Mhm.
But they may be doing other work in this community later on for somebody else.
Well, you could have backflow issues with this.
Oh, yeah.
That's the real problem.
That's the real issue.
Major.
And
issue.
we try to educate them as best we can, but we're way past the education phase. It's tampering fee and we just hand it to Lennar. Lennar will come out when I catch them or Wyatt catches them. Lennar comes right out to the scene. We talk to them. Here you go. This is it. And then we hand him the fine and he hands it to them.
I think once you start getting to, you're going 1,000, 2,000.
$3,000.
Once you get cited twice, it should be $10,000.
Well, we'll have to look.
Something,
I'll-
something ridiculous. 1,510.
I'll
Something
get,
ridiculous.
I'll get with Kenny and see what the maximum lawfully can be imposed.
Okay.
Under our rules and under the statute.
Right now, it's $3,000.
Sorry?
Right now, the maximum we can is $3,000.
But I do recommend,
He's not
even
paying.
if you talk to the
That'll
local
get their
deputy,
attention.
even if you don't talk to the local, even just talking to local deputies, those guys are the road patrol guys.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the.
And they're sketchy about it.
Well,
See,
I'm the
I
one-
talked to the desk sergeant and they were very sketchy about it.
I'm sorry, but I just don't think
So
they want
let's-
to do it.
Sure, that's
let-
the person I
They
got.
They will have to respond if an affidavit or formal complaint is filed.
And we're running a little behind. So, Kenny, what
Okay.
I'd like to do is I'm going to pull forward your 4A.
Okay.
Action item 4A, for replacement of district irrigation system. This is,
That's it. Keep going. Go back to there.
Oh, good. What, like,
Keep
Oh,
going
that's-
forward. Okay, Tyler, are you on?
Yeah,
that?
the meter. There you go.
Yeah, go back to the first one.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go with the agenda item.
Okay, do you want me to start this or do you want to start it, Kenny?
I'll walk in and just say, well, we're requesting $39,745 task order for Tetra Tech to do a full replacement, reconfiguration, and new placement of the existing 24-inch irrigation meter and the existing ductile iron piping plans for the district system. This is originally already scheduled for the 2023 capital budget at 10 years, and I believe 10 billion gallons, and we have reached that limit. And we would like to pull this forward. The reason I'm asking or requesting that we pull this forward is for the supply chain issues. And this is going to require, go ahead, can you go to that picture real fast? This is going to require some movement of the piping. That is the actual 8-inch, full 8-foot piece of meter. It's a micrometer. It was installed in 2012. 24-inch micrometer. These, as you can see, this section of piping here is 3 feet. This is the old connection to the hydropneumatic tank.
This is a huge vulnerability for us. If this was to ever leak, it goes down to a 14, which gets reduced to a 12. Finding anything in 14 inches is going to be almost impossible. And as you look down to the bottom of that, you can see the staining. It does leak from time to time. We have to go down there and tighten that up. We would like to just remove this altogether. The tank's gone. It's never coming back. So there's no reason. And that's the other connection right there. And if you look right past it, you'll see the big box. There's a 24-inch butterfly valve that has not been in operational order since I don't even know when. It is frozen. We want to remove all of this. And what's going to have to happen, go ahead and go to the next picture, is that's about the long stretch of the 24-inch coming out of the pump house. That's about where we're anticipating the new meter will go. And when we remove all those pieces and we remove the old meter, we're going to be left with a huge section of ductile iron piping. And ductile iron piping at 24-inch right now it's going to require a precision measurement and then making it, and that is going to take some serious time for us to order it and then to actually deliver it. So I am requesting that we pull this forward now and start the ball moving on this. Overall, the project is estimated to probably be in the 110 to 120,000 for everything. What this will give us is a complete set of plans that we do not have, exact measurements. They'll make a recommendation for the meter. We're really looking for a mag meter, a magnetic meter, a micrometer. The existing meter has a magnetic 24-inch magnetic meter that would suit. We have to wait for the engineers to come back with that.
So Kenny, where's this funding coming from?
This will be.
We have money in the reserves. There's a little over $5 million in the reserves that we can tap into.
Okay.
It's unrestrained.
But it's going to be in the 23 budget also. The dollars were planned to be in the 23
Correct.
budget.
Yes.
Okay.
You ran the meter calibration.
Yes, and I have not gotten the report back yet. You did it yesterday.
This is our main meter.
Most important meter we have in the
Main meter
system.
that measures all the water that goes into our system. One of the things that we've learned in the 2021 data is we had 3 or 4 months in both years to where the water going through this and the water going through all of our meters. We sold more water than we sent out. Now that doesn't quite add up.
So there's
Something's wrong with that meter.
If you want to go back, can you go back to the
You
first
don't want to
picture?
disturb that. do you?
Which picture? The picture?
Not a good idea,
one?
especially when
No,
we're
the
talking
one with the
about
meter.
other
The
improvements
very
that
first
we
one.
may not
Nope,
even
keep
need
going.
to
Right there,
make.
right
if we
there.
find out that's wrong.
If you look at that picture right there, right at the end of that meter, you see that suddenly that T and then it drops right in. When this meter was installed, that T was not there. That's part of the 2015 irrigation upgrade where that was added into the piping.
Probably why the meters.
The first thing the calibration guy said is that meter's in the wrong spot. So we need to get this moving. I'm guessing it could be 8, 10, 12 months before we get everything
Basically
we
a
need.
new piping layout.
Right.
To be done.
Right,
correctly.
as we remove everything, we're gonna have to squeeze
All right, make a
everything.
motion there. Let's get it going.
Yeah, a second.
So I have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? And this will come out of the reserves, so we're pulling this forward.
Yes.
Well, right now, we're just doing the engineering work
Yeah.
to be
The
able to
39,000.
Yeah, the 39,000 just did, yeah, okay. No further discussion. I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Okay, Kenny, thanks.
Thank you.
Kenny, that's it for you, right? You don't have anything else? Okay, all right. I'm gonna go Tim, and then I'll go Scott, and then Kyle, I'll go you, and you can, so we're in the interest of time.
Tim Holland, Gateway Commons Pool Supervisor. Just want to give you all a quick update on what we got going on at the pool. I'm receiving proposals right now for repairing the tile on the tread of the gutter beam, which is something we talked about when I was here at the last meeting. The HRS or Health Department Inspector gigged us for that. It's something we're gonna have to get taken care of, preferably before her next inspection. There's 2 ways to address this. And I've got bids from one company, both ways. One would be to remove the existing horizontal tile in the tread and replace it with a similar tile. The same tile doesn't exist. Another way is to take it off and replace it with it's called a Duracrete or a Spraycrete on top, which is, I'm sure you're all familiar with Spraycrete. It would be a painted texture and it would be textured and non-slip. Either one of these would have no dive tiles installed in them. The tile
And we're talking about the tile that
This
goes
is the
all
tile,
the way.
actually, no, it's just the horizontal portion of the gutter where it's raised up.
Okay, got it.
And in places it's delaminating and popping and it's technically a
got it.
tread or a
So we
tripping
have the
hazard.
like the numbers go as well?
No, on the top, there's not. It's just, it's 1 foot wide and they're 2x2 tiles for 1 foot. And it's almost, I think, almost 300 feet around, linear feet
And
around the pool.
just so I'm clear, so you've got your step up and you go to your gutter, and then from the gutter you drop down, and then, so you've got tile running on pool edge,
Mm-hmm,
you've got tile in the gutter,
mm-hmm.
and then you also have tile on the step up, right?
Right.
Okay.
This is the dry portion of the tile on the top. So your water spills over into a slightly dipped gutter, then it steps up, and that's where you'll see the depth markers. Then on the top of that, which is a horizontal tread portion where everyone steps to get into the pool.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
And it's 12, like I said, 12 inches wide and about 300
But
feet
we've
long.
got issues with tile everywhere.
And this is something else I wanted to talk about. So to replace the tile with a like tile, we're looking at about $15,200. Now to do the spray-crete option, we're gonna remove the tile and put a cement product on top of it. And for that, we're looking at about $7,900.
Yeah.
Now, I've also put out for bid, and I've had one proposal come in already to update the whole pool, which we've talked about here before, which is to drain it down, take all the tile off anywhere there's tile, and then replaster the pool and the kiddie pool. The same company who gave us a bid in last March, when this was first brought up, gave us a bid of $13,000. That same work now costs $142,800. So it's gone up 20% in just about a year. So this is something that we just can't keep kicking it, because one, it has to be done. Two, the prices are going up faster than the pool is falling apart. So it has to be addressed. And I think this would probably be the year to do it. Again, these aren't in my budget to do this, so I'm gonna have to ask you guys for help on this when we get there. I am getting more bids in, so once I get 3 compiled, I'll come back and let you know what I recommend. That's
What is
that.
what's the 74K?
That's everything included,
Refinish pool.
the whole pool.
70.
Is the tile.
Oh, so what he broke down on the pool redo, he broke it down. He broke it down so everyone could see. Part of it's tile, part of it's a kiddie pool tile.
Okay.
Then it goes
so
back
here's
to the
all-
plaster.
okay,
And then
all this together is 140K.
all together, you're at 142,793. And if we do that, obviously, we won't have to do the tread because that's all included in that
So we'll
portion.
take all the tile out,
Mm-hmm.
spray it, complete pull from step down all the way to the
Right,
bottom.
step tile, gutter tile, tread tile, and including all the raised portions on the kiddie pool as well. So basically we have a brand new looking pool, which should in theory get us through another 12, 13 years. As long as I'm working there to last that long. And then we're done. Just get it done, rip off the Band-Aid, and we got a new looking pool.
Does this address the issue of, I remember before we talked about it was leaking the pool? Did this address it? or no? It
Absolutely.
will? Okay.
We don't have any hydraulic leaks. All of our leaks are just going through the tile,
Okay.
everything. And I managed to stop it a little, but it's steady.
What percentage of the total lineal feet of the pool are we talking about that really is a problem?
So
We
what
need
we
to
got,
do the whole thing.
what we got gigged on, if we don't go for the whole caboodle now, is just the tread portion, the horizontal tread portion of the gutter. And that's 12 inches by, I think, 296, call it
That means
300
the
linear
whole
feet.
Circumference of the pool?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
That would be the $15,000.
yes, yes. And it's not gonna match.
Yeah. I
They
know.
don't make that tile. And if I do spray-crete, it's not gonna match. And honestly, it's just which one looks better in the end, probably the tile. But it's almost, why are we gonna do that if we know we have to do the pool? I mean, the
And
clock
the-
is ticking.
The total price included the tile,
The total price would include that work, right?
but included the upgrading for the tile,
Yes.
replacing tile for tile.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Yes.
that's not what we wanted to do. We want to take tile out of the equation and just spray crete the whole thing.
Well, if you're gonna do it.
Well, no, spray
No.
crete, what are you speaking about? Exactly.
Well, I don't think you need, I mean, from a maintenance perspective, I'd
No
get
tile would be
rid, I'd get rid
better.
of the tile, period.
So now you have to have tile on the upper, where the gutter
Well, the
riser
numbers
is, that's
were-
got to be tile.
Because I remember you saying that.
Right.
It's required.
So even when we redo the whole pool,
Oh, so it's required to have tile?
Mhm,
yes.
Because it has to tell you the depth, right?
right, the
Yeah.
top doesn't have to be. The tread portion you step on, it can be anything that's abrasive, which is fine, so you don't slip. But on the forward portion of the pool where the water hits it, it has to be tile. Unless we rip out the gutter and do like they did at Gateway Greens, and you could put a spillway gutter around the whole pool, but that's
Yeah.
huge. That's massive.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
No, I
okay.
was
So
under-
I just say limit the tile that we use to only what's required.
That's
and
why I
Spray
asked.
everything else.
Yeah, unfortunately,
The perimeter.
on these old pools, everywhere we have tile, we have to go back with tile, minus the tread portion. That's wide open for whatever we want to do. We can put double bullnose brick up there. But that's kind of more of a maintenance nightmare, and you're not really realizing any savings there.
Because overall would be small.
You have other bids yet to get. before we have
I'm
to
waiting
make
on
a
2
decision.
more. The
Okay.
gentlemen from 2 other companies
All right.
have come out, and I
Okay,
was
this is
honestly hoping
something to
for
think
them.
about. You got more, you don't need an action today.
Do
This is
not,
more of
and
an
I didn't put it
update.
on as an action
And I would
plan.
encourage us all to maybe just circle about the pool and just take a look.
But yeah, just so we all know we're ticking away here. My next item is, if you could put that one picture up, Laura, if you don't mind. This is just an area we've had that's just, it's from the sidewalk where we enter the gate of the pool, at the pool, our small white gate that has the magnet on it. The grass that goes from there to the bike racks, it just stays muddy constantly because people drive, you can't see tire tracks there. They're constantly driving in that grass. So what I'm getting bids for right now is to pull out the grass. It's approximately 9 foot by 22 foot, right around 200 square feet. Remove the grass in that area and pour some concrete in there. It'll accomplish 2 things. One, if a car drives over it, we're not gonna have a disaster and a mess anymore. 2, people can now walk from their bike racks directly on the pavement up to the pool. The lawn guys at times can't even cut that lawn because it stays so wet. So this is a small project, nothing I'm looking for more money. This isn't with my budget, but I'm just letting you guys know what's going up there. I'll let you know when I get some more bids in. Right now I have one in, it's approximately 4,300. It seems a little high to me, but what happens when I get a small job like this? They're gonna charge 4,300 for pouring 10 yards. They're gonna charge 4,300 for pouring 2 yards. It doesn't matter. The time is the same. So that's what we're looking at here.
Okay.
And I'll get back to you on that later. So I had a little unfortunate news on our deck furniture. I received an email yesterday in response to my request for the delivery estimate. We're backed up now probably until mid-May. The excuse is the usual excuse, supply chain issues, which I do understand, but it doesn't, make the pain any easier. We got a lot of residents that are looking forward to that. They're not going to see it till they come back next winter now. But unfortunately, it is what it is. The filter, however, is in good shape. We're probably looking at the 2nd week of April. It maybe got pushed back a week or something like that, but we're in good shape to have it delivered as the original estimate. When the pool is reopened, because we're going to close, like I said, for a couple of days when we do the furniture, we're going to just have a little small event up there. Don't even call it an event, ice cream food truck social to kind of get the people back in and thank them and just give them a little back because we have a lot of regulars, like a lot, and just want to get some more community back in the community pool. And the last item is just want to let you know about pool patronage is really high now. It's the most that we've ever had since I've been there. I have no way to look at the old numbers, but going back 2 years, we're just killing it right now. The last several months have just been off the charts. The new yoga class is a big hit, packed every Wednesday. And the water aerobics is the highest it's ever been. And that comes even from the ladies who've been doing it for 15 years. We have 30 plus attendees every week. So I'm not sure what we're doing, but people are enjoying it coming in. So, and that's it for me.
Are we still having only one day on the yoga, that Tuesday?
One day. And
Yeah.
if it continues to grow, she has volunteered to do another day. Possibly we just have to weigh it.
Okay.
Because if she can get 12 people in. Now, if 14 come, that doesn't justify a second day.
Mhm.
They just kind of got to get there earlier and line up. So we'll see we're just gonna let it play out.
Okay, great.
All right,
Thanks, Tim.
thank you all.
Appreciate it. So we'll go Scott. We'll have you come up, view your update, and then we'll end staff reports with Kyle.
Ready. Scott Connell, Capital Improvements Projects. I gave you my monthly update here and touch base on a few things. We I've already talked about the lake bank restoration with Met Tower, so thank you. Daniels Preserve drainage concerns. This is the 48-inch pipe on the north end connecting Lake 4 to Lake 6 in Daniels Preserve. Extreme Divers has been working on that for a month now. Well, actually a couple days over. They have been able to dredge the entire 48-inch pipe from lake to lake. What they found is it is 60 to 90% blocked, or it was. So they've dredged all that material out of there. Very slow going. And some of it was very old, original, I think it silted in there when they put it in initially and when they excavated the lakes some 20 odd years ago.
Scott, where's this? Where's this, please?
Daniels Preserve up in the northeast corner where the park is.
Okay.
They
Thank you.
connect that lake by the park to the big curved lake in the center of the community.
Thank you.
So this is where we are going to install the elbows, if you will, on each end of the mitered ends. So they have substantiated that it is 48-inch and they are mitered ends on both ends. They appear to be intact. They've ordered the 42-inch corrugated aluminum pipe. That's going to be the elbows that go in there.
Are they going to pull the mitered in sections off, or are they going to insert it into the mitered?
They're going to be inserted.
That'd probably make it easier.
Yes. So as of today, they had to reset equipment and they had to bring in some pneumatic hammers. And there's a lot of rock on the, I'll call it on the Lake 4 side, inside the community. A lot of large rock. And at the on top of the mitered in, the gentleman, the diver, was able to get to the top of the notch at the mitered in, at the top of the pipe, and reach his hand up and felt a big rock. So now that we're talking 8 to 12 feet down. And so there's a lot of rock in there, and up in the bank, there's a lot of rock. And it's only about 8 to 12 feet to the end of the mitered in. So the stability of the lake bank is in question. So they brought in the pneumatic hammers, jackhammers, and going to break up the rock.
Underwater.
And right at the surface so that they don't come tumbling down when we remove the rest of the debris in front of the mitered in.
So he can't put a clamshell or anything like that in, let's say, a manhole with a chain and pull that rock out?
No, they're going to break it up and move it manually.
You got to do it manually.
Yep. So they've got a few more days through the middle part of next week. And then by then the elbows should be here. It all should be clean, and they'll be able to install the elbows on both ends and seal and secure those with a grate on top. So Brad's assured me that the cleaning of the pipe and all is what he said it would be. Now, if we have to stabilize the bank, I don't know what's involved in that, additional riprap or fabric or something to secure that. So we'll have to see. They're trying obviously not to deteriorate the bank.
How far does that mitered in section stick out?
It's about 12 feet off the bank.
That's all.
Yeah, it's real short on that inside side. And then the mitered in is another 8 feet of pipe. So they've really worked hard on it, getting that done. So we'll monitor it closely.
Is he still having the visibility problems where you can't see nothing in front of you?
Oh, he will when he starts dredging in that area. Oh yeah, you can't see anything.
I was trying to see if there was a way that we could get a picture to send it to our.
It still is too cloudy on from the inside of the pipe. Yeah. So we'll keep you updated on that. On the GIS within Gateway, we have last week we met again with Passerell and Associates and had a scoping meeting. We met on the 24th and
Sorry, something else.
oh, okay. So
I did get that today, and Tony's taking a look at the agreement.
oh, okay, very good. So that came in. Okay. Okay, great. Great, thank you. So again, we're narrowing that down and that should hopefully move forward here. The lake and the bathymetric and the core sampling aeration design. Last week you approved the task authorization with Tetra Tech for the electrical services. We've sent them all the location and they're starting to work on that coordination. And next week I'll be sending out to Sanders Lab the location sketches and get a quote from them on doing the core sampling. So that's moving along, not as fast as I would like it, but just takes a little time. The utility, the proposed force main and irrigation through the easement of the FPL. And I believe Kenny might have touched on this. That's on hold right now on the redundant line going up through the FPL. Well, a couple weeks ago, we got with Fred and some of the flows have picked up with what they did on bypassing out on the main. I don't want to speak for Kenny at all. But anyway, so they want to step back and look at that and analyze it a little more instead of moving forward at this time.
Said the flows are due what now?
They've increased a little bit.
The flows coming from the north down through the 16-inch?
Yes, I believe so. But Kenny will have the specifics on it. In other words, they want to pause and study it a little more.
What would have caused that?
Again, I'm speaking out of turn here, and
We haven't gotten any more customers.
no, we increase some of the pipe in the roundabout or something, the pipe size, and I don't know. I could be totally off base, so apologize. But anyway, I was told it's on pause, but I know the FPL guy to go to. Yep.
Got a name.
All right. Last week, the resurfacing of the soccer complex on the roadway was substantially completed. There are some punch list items remaining. There's some striping edge line down by the dog park parking lot, the east one, and arrows. And I've confirmed with them that they are coming out to take care of that.
And are we doing that middle stretch?
No.
Okay.
That asphalt was deemed
Wasn't that old?
intact and not in need.
We fixed the potholes, the bad one.
Oh, the road's nice. So now we're
Yeah,
going
it
to
looks
put
good.
speed bumps, right? No, I'm kidding.
So the road striping, the only one that's missing is the white line, which will match with existing pavement that was not touched, right?
There's a edge line along the fence on the east parking lot between the two gates.
Okay.
And then there's about a dozen or so arrows, directional arrows in both parking lots that need to be reinstalled. And the final of the thermoplastic up here at the stop bar at Griffin, when the asphalt cures, which will be done in 2 weeks.
I was gonna say, that didn't look like that was done when I came in.
No, it's temporary. You gotta wait for the asphalt to cure before you put the thermoplastic on it.
Any particular reason? Okay, so if I'm the dog park parking lot, the closest spot, closest to the gate, you know what I'm talking about, how it's not straight? It looked like we needed to create a parking space. So we went 2 feet out to create a parking space, but then if they would have to back out of that space, there would be half of the tire would be on the road and half would be on the asphalt. Any particular reason why was that done that way?
We matched existing. I don't know why it was done that way initially.
Well, it looks pretty bad. I mean, because literally, either you get rid of that parking space, but which we really needed it, or you would extend it a foot out, the paving, to be able to, the person to not have to drive any portion of the vehicle on their road there.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at it. 'Cause
Yeah, I'm
gotta
not,
look at that.
I'll have to
I
look at
haven't
that with
seen
you.
Yeah.
Yes. Master irrigation control system. We're still in touch with Mainscape, trying to get the particulars on upgrading that, along with coordinating it with the roundabout. So that's still, Laura and I both have been in touch with them and awaiting their submittal on sort of a plan for phasing.
This is a phased approach.
Yes, phased approach, yes, to upgrade the controllers.
The first one will be going in when we do with the irrigation work they've done so far with the capping and the rerouting. We're going to put the first new controller in down there.
I have a question regarding that. I did notice on Gateway Boulevard, almost across from Timber Ridge, by 7-Eleven, there was on the center median, it was an open something irrigation. with just plastic tape, and that was at least 10 feet down
Must be a pipe break.
for weeks. I mean, I was concerned because that's like literally not even a foot from the road.
Well, they marked
and-
it off, finally.
Jim was all over, he was all over them about that, and he was out riding around again today.
Because I don't, that one actually stopped to go look into it, and then the one in Griffin and
It
by
was
near
close to
South
the
Miami,
edge of the road.
that one also, it's open for a while. I just think if it's something like that, we need a little bit more than just 2 sticks and a plastic tape. One is you're going 10 feet down, like if a car just missed it, but it was
Or
straight
all the
down there.
kids that we have around here.
So I just think that's an opportunity for Mainscape to properly, but I don't know if that had to do with the roundabout, it was just an irrigation fix, but it was for weeks.
Yeah,
It wasn't a day or
it was a
two.
break.
Yeah, there was a break.
You're right. Next item will be the street lighting, which we sort of touched on. Laura talked about that. And next week, Bill and I will be getting together and address those questions that came up earlier to put a whole program together to update it. Access to the weir at Casella. We did meet with Lennar's rep, and he brought his grading subcontractor with him after they had it staked out by their engineer. And it pretty much was the same thing that staff and Tetra Tech talked about. So they agreed to remedy all of it. I just don't know when. I haven't been tuned in yet on when they're going to do that work. So Elle goes out there, and she checks it every couple days. So I don't know if they've started yet. I haven't looked personally this week. So.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Scott, I would suggest sending an email as a reminder to Lennar. Send an email as a reminder to Lennar to remedy that situation, that it impacts the district's ability to access and maintain its facilities, and that needs to be done as soon as possible. Pretty
Do
soon.
you need to
you're
be
gonna
copied on that?
Yes, yeah, please. Yeah, and
Okay,
just a gentle reminder.
I'll be gentle. Okay.
Yeah, and ask them for a timeline and
Yeah.
a hard and fast timeline. And they want to copy Russell Smith on that too.
Yeah, we met with them,
A month ago.
well, February 11th, so it's been 3 weeks. Going on 4, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else?
No, I would just say, Scott, as you're kind of winding down your time with us, the last couple weeks that you're going to be here, I would work with staff and provide your input on what you need to focus the most attention on.
What we
get
talked about
things-
last time we met, yes.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No problem. I'll
Thank you, Scott.
prepare.
A through Z.
Yeah, right.
I'll-
I know, it's kind of hard to go through this list and stack.
No, no,
I've been.
I've been
A
keeping
through
Laura
double Z.
informed on,
Oh, yeah.
all the stuff and others as
Great.
well. So
Thank you very much.
I'll make it clear and concise. So thank you.
Okay,
He forgot this is Hotel California.
and what I'd like, yeah, right. I know you might have a couple things, but when it comes to the candidates, I think what we should probably do is provide input on who we want to move forward with. And if there's some discussion, that's fine, but I think, the smoothest way just to present the candidates for the next step is probably the best. I don't think we need to go into a whole lot of detailed
One person makes the
background.
motion and then we
Yeah,
go.
but
with the
go
second
through them,
vote.
say
Yeah.
yes.
Well, Cal added a fifth one. I didn't have the chance to catch that. I was in other meetings today, but
I didn't
my-
even,
I'm sorry.
the fifth one?
There was a
Yeah,
fifth one.
he's
Fifth
in
one
the,
came
he
today.
hasn't been vetted yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've
got
slowed
it
down on
today.
some of that.
But my point was that at this point in time, just save time. I thought he did a great job on the interviews, the questions. The last one about the lottery was a little interesting, but I'd make a motion that we immediately get an invitation out and get all of them in here the 17th. And if
All
necessary,
four?
even earlier,
All four
all four.
for the district manager position?
Get it done. Get it
there
done.
was-
I'm
so-
not sure that all 4
Yeah,
are qualified.
that's what I was going to think. I'm
You-
willing to make a motion for 1, maybe 2, but I think 2 will be a great addition, but in other roles, not the district manager role.
So what,
Well, that's why they were going to turn back to him. I was going to just have all come in and narrow it down to the ones we do for the district and the other ones that find out if they have the opportunity for the public works.
But we, I think as a board, need to figure it out. Like you may be thinking A for the district and me and him may be thinking D and C for the district. So I guess we need to figure out those 2 we want, or 1 interview for the district and you have to let them know. And so we are in the know.
Yeah,
of what
So
we
let's do
want.
this. Cal, can you just run through the names and we will say, yes,
Yes,
Sure.
that makes
move
sense.
to next step.
Right.
For what
It's,
position?
we had 7 that we put out that we were gonna start interviews on, and 3 of them withdrew. So that left us with the 4 that we did interviews
Yep.
with. And 2 of them are really strong candidates for district manager. The other 2, one isn't, one is. But I asked the ones that I thought might be considered for the public works if they had an interest in that. Mr. Bodner was the first one that we talked to, and he's a very strong, he wants to be a city manager, and that's his goal.
So any objections to moving forward with Bodner for consideration to next step?
He's the one from the county.
Yes.
Yeah, he was very good.
All in agreement, because I have Bob's list too.
Yeah.
So Bob, okay, so we concur, we're gonna put Bodner on the move forward list. Who's next?
That would be Mr. Mallow, and I'm not sure that he has the experience that you're looking for a district manager.
Okay, so while we're doing this too, if we're not moving forward with someone for the district manager role, we could agree to consider them for another position. So with, is it Mallow? Is that how you-
Mallow.
Mallow? Any consideration for public works or, I mean, what is your input?
Yeah, I think he would be a strong candidate. I'm not sure he has Chris's qualifications, but I think for what you need for this position, I think he's got.
Then that was
My only issue is I wanted somebody with public works that would have a pond and wetland, let's say, expertise, and that wasn't there.
Well, here's my thought is, if we can at least, like, I would love to get, Scott, you weren't,
He did not participate.
okay, so what I would recommend is anything that anyone we can identify now, we can get them in front of Scott for public works, because we don't have to be engaged in that next step. So I'd say, I'd have Scott, if
Mallow.
so Laura, if you're taking notes, Mallow, we'd like to consider for, for an alternate position, and I'd have Scott.
I think focusing on the district manager position, Mallow's going to be around. He's a resident in the area, and we can throw him in that pile. Your other candidates have really strong public works also.
Keep in mind, you're only going to take one, so 2 of those are going to drop back.
Right.
Well,
So that puts him on.
But as we go through candidates, if we think they're qualified for the district manager role, we will also consider them for other roles when they get to our table. Mallow, we think, may not be quite ready for the district, or may not be the right fit for district manager. However, could be in consideration for public works or something around that line. So we've got Bodner. The other candidate is what, Whitefield?
You have two more. You have a Whitfield and you have O'Reilly.
Whitfield, we consider moving forward. So move forward with Whitfield to board. For district manager for board. O'Reilly.
Same way. I think she's.
Yes.
Okay, I'm okay with that, and Bob was okay with it. Okay, so we would move forward with, so we got 3 candidates that we will put at the next available opportunity for us to interview. And we're gonna do it, Tony, I think in a board session?
Yes. It has to be a public session.
Yeah, so we'll do a public session. Now, the public works, we can handle that as a one-off because actually the district manager hires that role. But of course we have input on that as well.
Yeah.
So out of those candidates, we've got 3 moving forward to board interviews, 1 moving forward for public works. Those that are participating in the district manager board review could also be considered for other openings that we have.
Well, yeah. That's the way I would do it. So you've got 3 good candidates coming forward.
The one that it's in the folder now hasn't been vetted yet.
Yeah,
and if you can vet
it's
that,
interesting.
We could even do an interview before and put it in the file, but he is a PE. He's got a lot of public works experience in cities.
Okay.
And
Could we, I mean, I
We
know.
got 3 interviewed. That's,
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
fine for the next round.
But giving, I haven't seen that one, but if it's something that you think that urgently we should look at it, then maybe
Throw 'em in.
simultaneously while we're vetting, you do the interview because we're looking at
Well,
5
I
minutes.
think what we could do too is if this person, now, if we're still reviewing for the board interview, if you feel like they're a fit for Public Works, I would go ahead and have Scott take, talk.
Sure.
So we would say, hey, we'd love for you to have a conversation with, with someone within the district around this Public Works while the board is reviewing your information to be considered for the district manager role. That way, if we keep things moving, we leverage Scott while he's still here.
This resume, the 5th one is strong. I mean, that's strong. Now the question is, how's he perform on the interview?
Right.
Very interesting.
Now we could put that 4th slot in for this person that came in based on what we've seen so
and that's what
far,
I
and
was
then the
thinking.
vetting process would still
Yeah.
take place.
Would that be okay?
I suppose, so that 4th person would be part of the interview by the board.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We would basically pull them forward based on what we've seen so far, knowing that it still has to be vetted out by Cal. You guys, are you comfortable with that? I mean,
And that's what,
and
that's what I was trying to do, like,
based
and
on
go
what
ahead
you've,
and interview him.
based
and
on what
then
you've seen in the
waiting.
paper, based on the resume and background, you would
Yeah.
support that? Okay.
He,
All right.
he seems to be in
What's
up in the New
what's the
England
name
area,
again?
New Hampshire.
Yeah, he's originally a Canadian
Yeah,
and he went to school in Canada
yeah, in Ontario.
and
So-
has his
yeah.
PE from
So
Canada.
Donison, we're also gonna add, so we have 4 in consideration. Okay.
So
Now,
4 for
what-
district manager and 1 for
One for Public Works, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
What about travel expenses for them to come in and interview?
So who's out of town?
That would
Two
be
of them.
Donaldson if he's at it and Whitfield. Now, both of them are going to move to Florida anyhow, so I think that we can negotiate away from
Donaldson.
relocation expenses.
So that's
But
Donaldson.
coming in for an interview is
What I
something,
would
they're not
say
here
is,
now.
for this round, we have a go-to meeting, they can do it remotely. And that would be my,
Well, but no, but he's asking because they're.
oh, you mean
they're gonna come
relocation?
Together, yeah,
No,
they're gonna be here.
well, for the interview itself,
they're gonna be
they're
in
going to
person.
have an expense to come out and do the interview. If you want to do it
Right in the hotel.
remotely, you could do it remotely.
I think that's what Doug was saying for those 2 to do it remotely.
Yeah.
And if they want to
What
come,
my
it's on
preference
their
would
dime.
be is at
Right?
this round, I would have them just attend virtually. We can, I think that would be fine.
Or
Yeah,
offer them to come, but we.
But on
just-
their dime,
On their dime.
yeah.
And I'm sure they're probably, so that's what I would say. Do we all agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we invite the invitation as if they could, and then if they ask who's paying, then say it's on you.
And consideration would be the
It's on you, but from Zoom it's free.
Consideration will be absolutely the same. The experience
Yeah.
is going to be very close, whether you're in here or if you're attending virtually. So,
Whitfield is originally a Floridian, and because of the downturn in the economy, he moved to Virginia and Oregon and a few places, but he wants to move back here.
Okay.
And so I don't think that'll be an issue. I don't know about Donaldson.
And
I
in
think
re-
we're fine.
And regarding the process of it, when we do get them in front of us, are we gonna separately ask them questions, or are we gonna put our questions together? So we're not necessarily asking the same thing.
You can't
I think just go down the road.
have a coordination amongst yourselves as to the question.
No, meaning like I'll send my questions to Laura, Doug will send it to Laura, Ed will send it to, we all send it to Laura. If Laura see that as a question is the same, or you want us individually asking the question.
I think that's
Okay,
And,
All right.
and then if you have a question, you just pass if it was asked.
Okay,
and
yeah. I just wanted to
change
know.
the
and I
question.
would say, let's take advantage of the time we have. And we need to put a time limit on those,
Yeah.
or else it'll run on. So anything that has been reviewed in the video or anything that's in their background, I think I would probably have them spend a couple minutes just to give them a highlight of their, experience.
What are we looking at? An hour for each? 45 minutes?
I'd say 45 minutes at the most.
You got 4 people, so.
Recognizing that you cannot ask other, as a matter of professional courtesy, typical professionals when they're interviewed by a board will not be inside where the other people are being interviewed, but you cannot ask them. to step
Kind
out.
of difficult doing that when you're on virtual.
Yeah, you can't ask them, you can't ask them to step out.
No.
What
But most
times are we doing it at the end of the meeting, beginning of the meeting? Do you want to start your meeting early or?
I think we open it
Start
up with
with
that.
that.
That way, we open it up and we'll do our first items will be It almost be, well, it would be an actual meeting, right?
What-
So I think we move it
Because the
forward.
board's gonna, it sounds like the board's gonna take some sort of action either.
I was gonna say, why can we move our regular stuff up to 2 o'clock and start with them at 3? And then just go
If we
straight
do
through.
that, then we have to do.
We have to re-advertise everything, the schedule, yeah.
We'll get that notice in that time, that's fine.
Could we enter,
7 days before the meeting.
I think we thin that out too. So if there's items that don't have to, if we need to push something, let's push it, so we
If you're
can.
45 minutes, you're looking at 3.5, 4 hours.
So let me ask you this. So more than likely we have this, we have this round. Once we come down to final consideration, we may ask them to either come back or additional questions. We could go 30 minutes, 30 minutes each, because we've already seen their background. We've already seen the interview questions. I think 30 minutes might be okay, knowing that if we need additional information, we can always come back to finalists, 2 finalists or 3. I mean, we still don't know, what that number's going to be. So I'd say 30 minutes for now.
Put a range 30 to 45, because you never know what's gonna come up and
Well, we
what they're gonna
probably
say.
need
But
to. Yeah,
but
yes,
time-wise,
but we,
10 minutes,
But you're gonna be
there'll
looking
be
at-
30 minutes.
time you're done, you're gonna spend 3 hours on those 4 people.
Mhm.
So the way you're gonna get around it.
Is the board's consensus then to change that meeting time to 2 o'clock?
Otherwise, you're gonna be here at 7 or 8 o'clock.
and that's on the,
It's on St. Patty's Day.
17.
St. Patrick's Day. That's why Claudia's are
Yes,
open.
and I'm leaving on the 19th, so.
I would suggest we move the regular meeting up to 2 o'clock.
I
and
could do
Get
that.
this out of the way.
and then we run through our regular agenda 2 to 3, and then,
And then
or 2 to 3:30
then
or whatever.
go on with them for the next 3 hours.
And I'll work with the board tomorrow, get that notice.
It may be then, and we have to then talk afterwards in the public still. So then we just sit there afterwards and hash out where we want to go.
Yeah.
We might
Hopefully
find
we
out
can-
that it falls down to 1 and that everybody agrees to.
Yeah, okay,
Mhm.
great.
So we'll start the interviews at 3 o'clock, you said? I
Yeah,
thought 2
regular
o'clock
meeting
was
starts at
regular
2.
meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So 3 o'clock every 45 minutes, we'll set that up and the 2 Zoom ones, unless they decide to come in, then we'll put them in between, like 2 and 4,
Yeah,
or 1
yeah,
and 3.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay?
Okay, anything else from you?
Only other thing is we've got some issues and maybe I can sit and talk with you, Doug, on this, but we keep providing services and it's been a long time since we've been paid.
You haven't been paid at all?
No, well, with October, November, we did.
So-
Let me get some clarity on that. The bill for December was received on January 21st. It was dated January 13th. There was some discussion about the hours on it. At our last meeting on 2/17, I did tell Cal that the bill had been submitted that day for payment and that the check should be cut no later than the end of the next week, which would have been the 25th.
And has it,
The
was it
check
cut?
was cut on the 23rd.
And you haven't received that?
And then the January invoice for the January hours was dated February 17th. We did not receive the bill until February 22nd. That bill was paid February 25th. So we turned that
You
around in
haven't
2
received
days.
that one
So
either.
there's a
So-
We
payment
never
issue?
got that one.
Yeah, but it's, I mean.
But I can't
those are
control
still
the
cut
mail.
within-
Yeah,
What's
I-
our payment terms? Is it net 30, net 60?
I can't recall. I have to look at the agreement.
I had to look too.
Yeah.
Checks are being issued from here or from there?
Infomark.
I
I'll
think
get with Steve Bloom.
somebody needs to rattle his cage and tell him we don't do business that way. We did that to him, he'd be screaming.
I
like
knew
a
there
pig
would be
under a
delays
cage.
in the December because we had some back and forth, but that.
But the
that was
January
first
one,
to
I
pay.
mean, the January hours, we turned that around in 3 days from when we got
So I guess
it.
that's
3
the question,
days.
is that Steve, how was it mailed out? When? Because hopefully it was mailed out.
It's supposed to be mailed out the same day that it's cut, which meant that the one for December would have been mailed out February 23rd. And then the one for January would have been mailed out 2 days later on the 25th.
So
Yeah.
you should have.
We wait till the month's done before we prepare your invoice and send it.
And typically, I mean, what's our standard terms? Is it net 30?
30, yeah. So we would have been fine because we received it January 21st and the check was cut February 23rd. So,
Yeah, let's just circle back with Infomark because it sounds like you're getting.
well,
cut
they
and you're
cut the
getting approved.
checks as soon as we put the invoices in and I did turn it around, so. Yeah, what I was told, because I've asked this multiple times, is that the date that's in Avid, which is the date that I looked at, the payment date is the same day that the checks are mailed.
Somehow checks not arrived too.
We have not received them. I checked today before I left.
Because I think other than December, January's and February's,
You still
actually
can't
we're
wait.
above payment,
Well, we haven't even
cut-
gotten the February one yet,
Oh, that's right.
but the January one we turned around in 3 days.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So we'll circle back.
And I
next
did
month
talk
see
to
where-
Cal about possibly emailing us the invoice, because that's like almost a week that we lost there between the date that's on the invoice and the date that we actually get it,
Yeah.
because they mail it to us.
Well,
So
we
that
could
delays by a
send it
week.
to your AP file,
Yeah,
but we
that's
didn't know about that,
Yeah.
so.
And I also talked to him about getting paid by ACH, which means that it would be instant.
Yeah.
And there's probably only one, what you've been billed now, probably we will have March and I'm assuming that we're gonna be done. So
Okay.
to set up an ACH
All right, so
account
we'll
doesn't
get
make
with him,
sense.
Mark, see if we can figure out why these.
I would
people
appreciate
get into
that.
like stuff. Okay.
That's not acceptable.
I mean,
Yeah.
I will verify that that's the days that those checks actually left the building, but that's what I was told is the date that's in the system that shows the check date. That's the date they're mailed.
Yeah, I think it's important to let them know that the check was turned around and mailed out January 25th. Here it is 6 weeks later.
No, February.
No, but that one was January.
No, there were no checks sent in February, in January.
What was the first thing?
The December invoice was mailed out on February 23rd. We didn't get the invoice until January
No, no, no,
21st. Yeah.
February 23rd, that's 5 days, that's 8 days ago. The mail gets really slow sometimes.
Yeah, that's-
Right. I will check. I'll verify that the check was sent out the same day that the system shows me.
That would've been less.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks,
So we're getting good progress on that open roll, thank you. The only other remaining action item we have is 4B. So this is interim district manager compensation. Basically looked at SHRM, looked at industry standards. For Laura, who's in that district manager role, there's a discrepancy in her compensation. I did the numbers and looked at it, comes out to about $1,000 a month. So the motion would be to, and it would be, this would be basically a monthly bonus or stipend outside of her existing compensation.
Retroactive from the data sheet.
There's two things. You can't have a bonus unless you have a bonus provision in your policy.
Okay, well, what should we call it? It's
You
a,
can't do it retroactively.
Yeah. What-
Because the statute says you can't go back in time for service or rendered by additional compensation. There's very.
okay, so strike that I said bonus, is that,
This is for an interim basis.
yes.
Why are we doing this? We're talking about 30 days. I don't understand.
Well, we
this.
don't know, it could be 30, could be 60
Well, I mean, it's
days.
part of her job description is the assistant you take and fill in the absence of the other. I see no reason for this whatsoever.
I mean, she's acting as a district manager. She
Well,
needs to
that's
be paid
what
as,
it's called. But I mean, you could go 90 days and then see how things go and look at a salary compensation.
so the motion is to provide, what do you call it?
What you can do, just say that it's just a compensation differential based upon, additional compensation for the role. It's not a bonus, but it's additional compensation in your salary beginning today for the roles.
Okay,
And
so
so-
that would be, it would be, based on my calculations, it's $1,000.
Terminate at the time that the district manager is hired.
Correct. As long as she's acting as interim district manager.
Is that something that we do like for all, because I mean, nothing to that scale, but is that something that we do for across the board? When somebody's taking up a position, either temporarily, I don't know if we have had that. Do we give them the difference or not?
We have, I think, in other roles.
I do recall us, so
When
this is
someone
not
has stepped
something
into a role, we haven't always done in the past, but again, we're
but
trying
going,
not to do
when
what
we
we've done in the
started,
past.
we continue, okay.
We give,
That's my question. I just don't want to
we've
do
given them
one off.
compensation consideration for work being done outside of, if they've stepped into a role when there's a vacancy, from what I understand.
And what the board may want to do next budget year in policy is a policy on a go-forward basis, provide the ability to provide bonuses and additional compensation to employees at year end or some other point in time.
That fill an interim position.
No, for any.
No, we did that this last put.
Any
this budget.
reason?
Yeah, we put in basically allocated additional dollars for merit increases and,
You can do it in the schedule.
Just for reference, when Chris was promoted from utility manager to interim district manager, he got a $10,000 raise.
And that's what I was, that's why I was thinking, and I believe it was retroactive at that point too,
I
What
don't
are you talking
remember.
about?
when Chris was promoted.
Yeah.
Well, are you looking that up, Laura?
Yeah, I'm looking right at it. It was from the February 2nd, 2017 meeting. It was effective February 1st.
So it was.
And he went from $75,000 to $85,000. It was, the meeting was February 2nd and they made it effective February 1st of 2017.
Retroactive one
So,
second, but
but-
still, it was retroactive. All right,
But
so
he
you're
got
saying
a-
you can't,
He got a $10,000
you
raise.
can't retroactive, okay. So again, the motion is to,
So I'll make that motion
all right,
for the $1,000, and then we'll terminate, whatever when we hire the new district manager.
so I will second. Any further discussion? First I have to see, is Bill still on?
No, he dropped off.
Okay, so, and Bob's not here, so we don't even have quorum anymore.
We do.
You have 3.
Oh, because we got 3 in the
Yeah.
vote. Okay, all right. So I'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, 2-1. Motion passes. Let's move on. Consent agenda, anything to pull from 5A?
No, I had nothing.
Motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Future board business. I don't have anything for right now. Supervisor comments, we'll start, Ed, we can start with you.
The only one I have is I don't know if, I think everybody received a email from Matt Chitwood asking about the linear park. And I don't see anything wrong with what he's saying. In fact, I think that's an excellent idea. The only thing that we've got, Tony, is we got to get the deed. So I think what I would do is suggest that this is one thing that we could do fairly easily once we have access to that property.
I don't know if I've seen that email.
Uh,
I'll forward it to you. No.
Just take that. I can
There you go.
download it.
Say you got the piece.
Yeah. So my deal would be is that once we get that deed is to go on ahead and work on, that's something we can do very inexpensively.
We talked about it before too.
I know,
And
easy to
We'd
do.
like to talk to you.
Don't we, so are we saying this is, so we've got the road.
Mhm.
We're
That's the
talking about,
service
we're
road.
talking about basically going from Gateway Boulevard on the north where the road, the path comes out and then south all the way down to right out here.
Yeah.
And making that pathway a.
Bike or walking
yeah,
pedestrian.
So there's only a couple places you'd have to
The
improve.
only issue we've got is that
Hampton Park was, I was
Hampton
gonna say,
Park
Hampton Park
has-
was our issue.
has gone out and put in a barricade that at least you can walk around it and you can get a golf cart through it and you can get a bicycle through it,
And then,
the bypass.
but I remember, I actually think FPL did that gate. Then the arm, I don't think it was a Hampton Park, but I remember when we had this
I
conversation,
know they did this one.
Hampton Park was opposed because they were upset that people were going that way and would say, well, it is what it is
Well,
because it,
And I'll tell you the other piece that we need.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna consider this, and I'm all for, we've been talking about linear park for
and I,
years,
yeah,
years.
same here.
point of consideration would be, I think here, if you come on, you can hit the sidewalk and then you can,
We ought to peel off to the pool. Have a peel off to the pool.
to the pool, but
Yeah.
also once you get towards, going up towards Stony Brook,
It's a good road.
you run out of road. So you'd have to
It's
figure out the
road.
transition from this side to the other side of the road. So you'd either have to create some type of space and you'd have to,
Right after next level, you would have to cut, otherwise you would have to pave all the way down to the end.
I thought it was paved all the way
No.
to Gateway Boulevard.
Mhm.
Was there
just
just
rocks,
piece?
it's
rock,
huge
it's-
rocks.
yeah. It's just like this side.
People, when you,
You know, this
you see
side,
people
yeah.
ride their bikes and they get the end, literally, they will pick their bikes up and carry it across because it's so hard to ride. But my point
Right,
is,
something
if you had a
like
golf cart, if you had a bike, what happens is people will, they'll hop down the curb and they'll either walk their bike across and then have to go on the grass and then back on the
So
sidewalk. So we need some
it's
kind of
paved from
transition.
Hampton Park north, but what you're saying is it don't go all the way.
There's about 20 yards where it's not.
We
So you just take a look
We
at
could
it.
do that.
No, I think
Yeah,
it's.
But I
more-
think we should,
yeah.
I think we should think about it. I think it's a,
One thing, since the board hasn't yet finalized numbers. We don't have final engineers report to the board. Consider modifying the capital improvements project to add that multimodal path and do that for long-term borrowing.
Yeah,
We could-
yeah.
to do
If
that.
they want to, and then, put that money, get that money from that project.
Yeah.
Or, so we want to think about that as the board reviews the engineering.
That thing peels, is there a peel off right now to the pool? I know there's one to, where you used to live,
No, not
Hi,
one.
but there's not one at the pool.
No.
So what we would have to do is to figure out if we took it to the pool, how would you get it out to Gateway Boulevard at that point? That might take some thinking.
Yeah.
The board want to have more contact with Steve about your Tyler, Fred Middleton, I'm sorry. Since he's preparing the engineer's report for the borrowing.
He actually asked me if there was any additional things we wanted to add to it, so.
Well, I'd also say some of this might fall within county jurisdiction. Right?
Well, all I'm saying is if you can get an estimated opinion of probable cost, put that in the engineer's report, with the normal number, at least you can, when you validate, you have this project, then you don't have to borrow all that you validate.
Well,
And then if you go to the county and get impact.
You know,
Impact fee money,
because,
that's just extra money.
yeah, because it's not big. We're not talking about big bucks.
no, and what I'm saying is because, again, if you're looking at foot traffic, whether it's
Open to the public.
foot, bike, golf cart coming on the sidewalk, there's going to be, they cut over to the pool, and if there's no access to that, that's a problem.
Could
That's what I'm saying.
someone forward that to me, please? Because I didn't see that email.
From Matt, okay,
Yes,
yeah,
please.
I'll send it.
Did you get that email?
I did not.
Here,
I'll forward it.
just
You got a
take-
copy of it?
Yeah.
And then I can use that for Fred.
And I'll send it.
Yeah, I can just download another copy of it,
I mean,
Thank
could
you.
we make it?
but I thought it was a pretty good idea.
Would we be able to add a gate right before the dirt road stops? Because I actually think there was a wood gate, remember? I don't know if you remember, Doug, like a broken wood
At
gate.
Stony Brook,
Yeah, like at this,
way up there a long
like-
time ago.
like it was, right? I remember, 'cause it's right there. So right here is, this is all dirt road.
Yeah.
So put a gate here, so it would be a linear park, but the only entrance
I don't think you
point.
need a gate. I don't see any
Yeah,
reason
I
for
don't
a
see
gate.
any need of gate.
The only reason why there's a gate at Hampton Park, because that technically
No,
goes
no,
to the
no, no, this
community.
is by Stony Brook. This is at the end of Stony Brook. So like, would they continue on the sidewalk or the pathway and then
Go
hit-
across the street and
Yeah.
hit the
like
sidewalk.
this,
there,
this is
sidewalk.
the area. So this is Stony Brook. See? the-
That's
No.
Hampton Park. You're in Hampton Park to the right.
Yeah, so, no, that's Stony Brook.
No, that's Hampton Park.
Pebblestone,
No, that's,
that's
You're
Hampton
right,
Park.
you're right, yeah, there's Hampton Park.
Yeah,
Now
that-
you're going into,
That's Hampton Park, that's Stony
Yeah.
Brook. So you
Right
end-
here.
where's the road?
right here,
Where's the?
right there.
building in?
There's
That's the new road.
that's in there, right here. So it stops about right
Oh, it's
there.
just that piece.
Yeah,
That's why.
so that's what I'm talking about. When you come
The
through
rest of
here,
that's paved.
there's no way to get across back to this side. Most people would ride their bike and then they jump up right there,
Well,
which is the
Probably
road.
what we need to
it's from
do
the-
is to get with the county to get a crossover
That's what I'm
there,
talking about.
and they're
But-
gonna scream bloody murder
Because
about
it's from,
that.
actually, it's from this line. See, it stops here. And then we used to have a gate here and
Yeah.
we had one here
Yeah,
too.
because this is inside the road right away, that's why.
Mhm,
And I think what we're trying to prevent by those gates is we don't want cars back there,
exactly.
but, I don't know, if
Alright.
we can talk about that.
Yeah, you got the idea.
Yeah. What else?
That's all I had.
That's it. Bobby, anything else from you?
I do actually.
Okay.
So in front of, and I just showed Tony. So back, I don't know, when Brian was here, and during the roundabout, I know I questioned this because that's when I saw it. So there's a headstone right in front of the FBI building that was damaged. It was not this severe. And I questioned if it had anything to do with the machines, because they did store around that area with the FBI. If the machines went through it and just broke it in half.
You mean a
Um,
monument?
No, this.
Right at the intersection.
Oh, on a storm sewer.
That's actually a FPL power line. It's exposed. There's two right here. So that's, so that's one. This is a different one. That's a different one. It's just all in front of, so that FPL pipe, there's two. There's one here and one here. So it's exposed.
So are you saying that somebody on the construction? of
I don't
the-
know. I noticed then and I said, Brian, can you check to see if it was damaged, prior to, and I never got a follow
I
up.
don't think they ever went that far north.
We went,
With the-
yeah, this is like right before, like right at the beginning of the FBI building. But regardless, this is,
That's Saucy Meatball, right?
yes, just past Saucy
It's
Meatball.
just past it.
Yeah,
I didn't know they went up that far.
so,
It's
yeah,
really
they
close.
did. They had a stop park there. regardless of who did it, it's too late at this point, but this is 3 feet down. It is horrible. So I was thinking, I know it's not gonna be capital, this should be just a repair. All we need is really some dirt from that pile, go over here and fix it. I mean,
Why don't you just send an email to Kenny
Kenny, that's what I was gonna
and
say.
copy
Have
Laura
Kenny
on it
look at
and have him just go take a look at it. No, we got plenty of dirt.
yeah, or I thought contacting FPL and let them know that they have an exposed thing here, maybe they would fix it.
Yeah. Well,
I-
send it over
I
to
would've
Kenny,
bet on
let
that
him,
one.
let him chase it down. I think that's what you do.
Yeah.
All right. So I have that one, and then today, the only other thing I have is today actually I was trying to go to 82 right when the school was going, and with 1 minute, 13 cars went through the roundabout. Like, so I just sat there and just took pictures on the Gateway High School. Within, it was like a minute and a half. So the cars just go straight through it, like truck.
What do
They
you mean?
don't,
Like
they don't-
over the
You mean they
median?
mount the curb?
like,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
they don't even slow down because I was the first car and then the lady blocked it. I mean, when I'm talking,
We need to
like-
have the county come out and
so that's,
look at it.
I mean, they just, it was just, they didn't care. Like, look at this one, it's like half into it. And I took
Good thing
13
nobody was out there walking.
13 pictures and within.
So
1
I think
minute,
we need to
so-
encourage.
That happens in the morning when I come in too, because I actually go around the way I should come in this way and everybody just goes.
I think we need to alert the county that
We're
Yeah,
having the same problem over in Gateway Greens. People are running stop signs all over the place.
but then that's when I thought when we
Ridiculous.
pay the guy, then maybe like those are the areas that I think he should focus on. The parking over there at the Gateway which actually got better, but you know, the charter school, which they're damaging irrigation. Then this item over here, it's another one. And I never
This is a
seen,
county issue.
I never seen.
well, that's
him.
gonna, I mean,
This is,
guess who's on the hook for wear and tear on that
we are.
roundabout? So you got people driving through that thing.
Some of the bushes are already dead, like they just drove over.
Yeah. So I would alert the county, have them come, send somebody, let them observe behaviors.
Just put nails
Uh,
on the mountable curb.
And just big lot. So anyway, but I think it's, yes, I think it's an issue.
Yeah, and then I have something else. Final.
Well, the only problem is there could be bad action.
Yeah.
Well-
That's the whole- I think that's why the county needs to be aware of that fact, take whatever steps they need.
Well,
And-
and when you do that, it happens for really for one or two reasons. One, you're just lazy or you don't know what you're doing. But two, what happens is you got to slow down significantly to make that turn. And people just don't.
You gotta go less than 15 miles an hour.
Right. You've got to
And
significantly
you
slow
can't do
down
it if you
and
don't.
slow down in order to make the degree of that turn.
And then I mean, honestly, I would have reached out to the high school because the reason why it's happening again is because they shut down all 3 lanes because it was designed to bring 3 cars drop off. They coned it out and it's 1. So you could only get like 50 cars.
Well, and I think the county needs to be aware of that too. Are they,
They are, because I was
you know,
like,
are they
to me, I was
interfering
20
with
feet over.
with
That's
flow
why I
design?
know, because my kid goes there. So we complained with the county, like just as parents and with the school. And then the principal was like, well, that's how it is. And it was done wrong. I was like, did the engineer do wrong? Like, who are you to tell me?
I'd like to ask the question, did the county approve the plans of the engineer?
So, I mean, I'll
I
forward-
don't think they touched it.
Yeah, so I
think they
think,
just
I think we, if the school would have opened all 3 lanes and allowed the plan to work how it was
Where the
meant,
flow is
then
designed.
we wouldn't have that problem, but they refused to do it. So, and just coned it all of
Stacks it
everything up, stacked it up, because they don't want kids, they say they don't want kids crossing in between cars, but that's the design of
Yeah.
the stuff.
Well, I
Then
would
you're
ask the county,
creating
does the school have the ability to circumvent the design of DOT? Do they have approval to
I'll
shut
forward you
lanes
that
off?
email, then you can follow up whatever when you do that.
It's,
I think that's what you're.
And
I
then
agree.
are we current with the contract for the towing? Because I know we mentioned about Red's towing and that is not the vendor does their towing. Just, I know because when I went back to look at the signs, it's a different vendor.
It's whoever the vendor is that's on the sign. I know Georgia called them and they're ready whenever.
Okay, so they are aware of it. Okay.
somebody usually has to initiate that though.
And you have to sign a new
Right,
contract every year,
right.
because I know we have to.
I
deal
can
with
check
Reds.
on
We have
that.
Reds. I mean, they're super
We have
aggressive.
reds,
They're super aggressive. Within 10 minutes, they're like, I'm here to.
but somebody's got to make the call.
Yeah, and then
Well,
somebody
they-
had.
you normally don't have to wait for this.
And then another thing is usually with Reds, somebody has to sign off when they get here.
Never had that problem.
So I don't know
They
if that's the
sure
same
want a
thing with the
name
company. Yeah.
Huh.
To come out.
You know,
So-
we should have just prior authorization. If it comes through someone that's on the
I-
approval to
I agree,
authorize,
yeah.
authorize, then we shouldn't have to sign anything. We just have to come up.
Mhm.
Where are they hauling at? Or towing at?
Mm. Oh, like,
Where's, around the Commons Park or the?
yeah,
park
the
here?
soccer,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
They were towing over here.
Yeah, Laura, we have a current contract with Red.
It's not red, it's a
No,
different
I have to
company.
look. I don't think we have I would have to look. I don't think we have a current contract, but I'll look. I have a note to get a contract. Yeah.
I know when we signed with Reds, that we had signs we had to put up.
Same here.
all around
We do
for
have
them.
the signs, and that's how I noticed it's not red.
It has to be the correct number, the correct vendor.
Correct inches.
Yeah, and
part
Georgia
number.
verified
Has to be
that.
on the sign.
I know Georgia
Alright.
verified the number
That's
and
all.
everything was correct. That was on the sign.
All right, if that is it, I will call the meeting adjourned at 5:25.
I have stuff for you to sign.